What's up, streamers? This is your host, King Tetra. Today we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about conspiracy theories. Well, some might call it a conspiracy theory. I'm going to talk about hip hop. Something I know very well. Something I used to love, enjoy, and actually do myself. I want to break down the death of it. Because if you listen to today's hip hop, you will notice I don't know what that word is. A stark contrast on where it derived from, where it went to in the 90s, early 2000s, to where it is now. It's maybe more relevant. You hear it more. More people socially accept it. But it's god awful. Their lyrical ability is just not represented on most of your mainstream hip hop songs. It's really bad, and it promotes the most horrible stuff. Glorifies crime, sex, drugs, and valuetizes the importance of money and having things. Everything's materialistic. And not that it wasn't back in the day, but it didn't glorify it in the sense that if you didn't do this, you weren't cool. Didn't have this, you weren't cool. It didn't make you a better rapper if you had more money, sold more albums. It all came down to lyrical ability. And at the end of the day, yes, they were talking about a lot of the same stuff, but they did it in a way where they were telling you a story of how they grew up, and typically saying that it wasn't, too good. This is the way I live, but who wants to live this way? It's unfortunate. And like I said, there's a lot of lyrical ability. It wasn't a Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat type rap. Nowadays, the big hits people are stuttering and barely rhyming words. I actually had somebody tell me the other day that in order to be a rapper, you don't have to be able to rhyme good. And it's like, that is the essence of rapping. It's poetry behind a beat that tells a story. And if we've lost that, we've lost the whole genre. And I guess you could break it down to a lot of things these days. Where the mainstream is with the news and everything, it's got really diluted, and it the value of it has really decreased. It's like the peso versus the dollar in comparison of the quality of music. And when I say quality of music, I don't mean there's no good music these days. What I'm saying is that the overall majority has just been downgraded. It's so, in a lot of instances, ignorant. Or you got a lot of like rap singers now that are R&B singers. They can't figure out what they are. I call them drag queens. But I have a philosophy of why there's the death of hip hop. I have an idea. Now, a lot of people, we get around and talk, and hip hop's dead. The lyrics side of the verbal skills is non-existent anymore. And we talk about why, like, what is the root cause of this? Why isn't lyrics a big deal? Why isn't the complexity of building a hip hop song not there? It just, everything has to be a club hit, ringtone raps, everything of that nature. It's all about money. And a lot of people, will point toward, the down south movement. In hip hop, there was a lot of different movements. It was started in New York as kind of more like party anthems. You think of Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, and then went to Run DMC, and a lot of these people, LL Cool J. But then you go to the early 90s, and there was a big West Coast push. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, like I said, NWA, so Death Row Records, and then New York became relevant again, and you had your East Coast, West Coast beef, and there was a lot of good music being put out. The West Coast had a lot of good music, different music, but good music. New York had that, always had that, like, around the street gutter sound. It's kind of grimy. That big city, taxi on the sidewalk feel. If you've ever been in New York, you know what I'm talking about. Everything's real quick, and it's a wild area. But New York, after Biggie and Tupac, New York kind of reclaimed the throne of hip hop, and I'd say around the late '90s, early 2000s is when it started to deteriorate. Not that there wasn't good music. I mean, DMX was putting out good music. 50 Cent came out. I mean, he went diamond, and there was a lot of good artists out. However, I have a theory, because a lot of people, we get around talking, well, what happened about lyrics? There's no lyrics anymore. And a lot of people blame it on, Cash Money, which is like Baby and Lil Wayne and those guys, the Hot Boys. And a lot of other people say, well, Master P was before them, and, they were just as bad promoting the same type of stuff. However, I disagree. I mean, it's partly true, but I disagree. And I get a lot of flack for this, but as a philosophical thought process, it totally makes sense. And my theory is, Wu-Tang killed the rap game. Wu-Tang was a great hip-hop group, had a lot of great hits, but they are the reason why hip-hop is dead. And I'm going to back that up on the reason why. Because it's not Master P's fault that people became attracted to his lyrics or his lack of skill. Or is it Lil Wayne's or the Down South movement? They didn't just bully into the game and knock everybody off the pedestal. It was Wu-Tang. They were at the pinnacle of their career. They had 9, 12, 38 members in their group. I mean, it's like every album there was more Wu-Tang affiliates. But it's what they talked about. And their albums were good. But if you remember, 1993, Enter the 36 Chambers came out. And it was good. It was grungy. It was new. It had that new feel. And everybody was attracted to it. Then Method Man came out with an album. Old Dirty Bastard came out with an album. Raekwon came out with an album. Ghostface came out with an album. All of them were hits. Big hits. Everybody loved them. Then Wu-Tang Forever came out and dropped. And it was a good album. 2 CDs worth of good music on a whole. But what the fuck were they talking about? For real. Like, no one knew what they were talking about. They were just using a lot of long syllable words that did not really, like, I'm not an idiot, and I didn't know what all the words meant. Especially at 16, 17 years old. So I can only imagine lesser intelligent people, what they thought, right? Like, what the hell? And they're talking about the gods and the earth and these big, long syllable words that it constructed nice rhymes, but at the end of the day, it didn't make sense. So at the same time, you have Master P coming out with Time to Check My Crack House. Everybody knows what Time to Check My Crack House means. It means it's time to check my crack house. There's no mystery to it. And it had a good beat, and it was like, okay, yeah. Everybody knew what that meant. So my question to you is, what do you think about my theory?
Me personally?
Yeah, I mean, you're not a huge hip-hop fan, but you love music, and you do like some hip-hop. Not everybody can be Tupac and have a lot of meaning to it.
Well, nobody's Tupac. I mean, we can argue Biggie and Tupac all day, but I guess that's a decent theory. I had that CD back in the day, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I just thought maybe I'm just not black, so maybe I don't know, and how do you ask these questions of, what do these words mean? Are they talking about some sort of history or religion or something that, was been lost to recent memory in history? Because I was totally lost. And, I was like an honors student, and I had no idea.
They were definitely talking about a lot of, you ever heard of the 5%ers?
Yeah, like James?
Well, no, he was a 15%er.
Okay.
So They were talking about a lot of that. That's where a lot of the gods, the earths, came from. And some people say that it was like some type of like mafia gang, and I'm not going to go as far
I thought
as.
it was like, how many percentage of people know what's actually going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's different things about that, like where James got it from. He tattooed 15% on his wrist, like he was a good tipper or a basic tipper. No, because 85% of the world is clueless to what's going on. 10% of the world report on it, and the other 5% actually are in it and know what's going on.
Right.
They're the movers and shakers.
Yeah.
So the 5%ers, it came from a little bit of that. They understood the world, not just like what's going on in your local government or your inside your streets or anything like that. They understood about life. That's why everything's the gods and the earths and stuff like you get what I'm saying. So it wasn't they knew the ins and outs and the dealings of their government. They knew like vibrations in the world, and yeah,
like ley lines in mythical earth.
Correct.
Magic?
Like if you listen to like the RZA, like he has some wild bars, but nobody understands what he's talking about. But
on a basic level, there's probably like a very small, maybe like 5% of the world actually understands what he's talking about. But like the general population of even thinkers would be confused. I was totally confused. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I owned the CD. And I tried because I wanted to be cool. Because, Wu-Tang was awesome. And I had no idea.
They lost you, right? They kind of lost you.
Totally.
They lost you.
But it was like, oh yeah, it's my favorite CD. Because, because everybody was saying like it's their favorite CD. It's the best CD ever. And you're like, oh yeah. And you're like agreeing. But you're like, I can't even sing one song. I can't do one bar, one verse, nothing. And I have no idea what they're talking about.
Well, exactly, and that was some of the most beautiful things about like Tupac was. He could rap simplistic, like a Master P, a Cat in the Hat rhyme scheme, and that's what I said about
Skilo, right?
Yeah, Master P. They're very simplistic, but nobody could take a simplistic style like Tupac and make it so powerful. Like there was so much meaning behind his words. They might be basic.
So bare, I mean, it was very much like, the expression you wear your heart on your sleeve. I mean, you saw it. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I see every day. And it was tragic and beautiful and gory and harsh and amazing that he could just portray his life, that you could live it with him, like you understood. And I mean, that was probably Tupac's just greatest gift. I will always say that he's better than Biggie, but again, that's a different argument that we can have.
But that argument there is what kept hip hop really going. I mean, there was a lot of good music out, but you had two giants of rap in the middle of the 90s at war with each other, but out on opposing sides or whatever, that were just great. Now, Biggie was great for other reasons, and Tupac was great for the things you just mentioned, because his words were just so powerful. Biggie, on the other hand, he had that smooth flow, and he could really rap very well. Where Tupac, there's not a lot of rhyme scheme there. There's not a lot of skill, really. He was just a poet.
He was a storyteller.
But he didn't tell stories like in chronological order. Like you hear some rappers that will tell you a story and it maps this whole thing out, and you're like, wow, that was you could almost feel it. Nas can do that. Slick Rick was pretty good at it. A couple other artists. I mean, there's some CDs that the whole thing's a story. But Biggie didn't. Biggie could do that, but Biggie couldn't be as powerful. Like he had, sky is the limit, and that went from ashy to classy, all that stuff, and it was like, that's kind of uplifting, cool, but it didn't pull on your heartstrings like Tupac did. Tupac could just say the simplest thing, and it's like, wow, that was powerful. So, if Tupac could do it, who do you have now? I mean, think about it. Who since Tupac and Biggie do we really have? Not Jay-Z, not Nas, not 50 Cent, damn sure not Lil Wayne, and he's old school now. Like, the big hit now is Panda. Well, not anymore. That was like last year, but now it's Bad and Bougie. A chick bad and bougie.
What does that even mean?
She's sexy and I don't know what bougie really means, to be honest with you.
I'm not familiar with that word.
I've heard it in different formats, so I don't know what today's bougie means. I didn't really understand yesterday's bougie either, to be honest with you.
You know, I think that's part of the problem too, is when you make up a bunch of words.
I think bougie actually means something. I think that means like, I think back in the day, like the rich class, they were like bougie people.
That's not how that's said.
Bourgeois.
It's bourgeois, yes.
Well, yeah.
It's like bourgeois and nouveau riche, the French.
Yeah. Well, they're not French.
But that's how it started. You think like French Revolution and Marie Antoinette, right? Working class versus the bourgeoisie and that kind of thing. Correct.
But I think that's what they're going for. So they're bad and bourgeois, but they're not going to say bourgeois, so it's bougie.
That sounds like booty from back in the day. Like something is booty that's bad. Remember? Like
but
back
bougie,
in the 90s?
I think it's a good thing.
I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like. Like I would think, because back in the 90s, you're like, dude, that's booty. That means it's bad. Like,
I'm not going to get lost on the Migos Bad and Bougie song. Like, exactly my point. Like, that's the hit. Bad and Bougie.
Okay.
It's worse than Time to Check My Crack House. Because I knew what that meant.
Well, didn't you have that other song that was a big one?
Which one? He had Bout It.
That's the one. That's
and then
what
he had to make him say,
I guess that was the first big one, but Bout It was the better one. But anyways.
I ain't gonna lie. Big hip-hop fan, I was a Bout It fan.
Who everybody was. I mean,
Well, it had a sick beat.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
We've had that discussion for at least 15 years that it's like, but it's got a nice beat. And you would scream, but they're not saying anything. And it's like, well, that's where it is. That's where it's at. That's why people don't want to hear, like an up-and-comer or, that actually has something to say. Because you don't have a little Beats machine at home, and you don't personally know Kanye, so you're not going to be anybody. And I think that makes it hard. And so you've got little kids like, what's that Superman kid? What was his name? He was like the first YouTube star. First YouTube rap star.
Soulja Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
It is garbage.
It's awful. And but you think all of that, all those things that we just kind of tangent off on, you're going to trace it all the way back to Wu-Tang and that they were too smart for the masses, or they were at least discussing subjects trying to sound smart that just blew the masses' mind where they couldn't follow along, so they went with the sick beat and the dumbed down lyrics, since it's just progressively got dumber.
Correct. And honestly, back when Wu-Tang was big and you had those type of, back in the day, like Mobb Deep, Nas, a lot of great artists actually were rapping about Freemasonry, Illuminati, talking about what was going on in the streets, and they didn't really glorify it. But
no, I never saw it that way. When I was a kid, your parents were like, what are you listening to? That's horrible. And you're like, no, they're telling a story about what they see. Like, this is real.
Yeah, because the
really
news wasn't reporting it.
Yeah, not until the LA riots. And then you're like, oh my God, it's real. And Sublime on the other side of the music industry talking about it too, right?
Yeah,
187 and
they rather break. See, think about this. When we were teenagers, they were breaking Snoop Dogg CDs and saying that this stuff was garbage and like pretty much the rock and roll devil music. It was the same
thing. Burn it in the street, right? Like they did with the Beatles.
They're pushing it. Like once the down south music really became kind of big, they invested into this stuff because I think they really felt like rap wasn't going anywhere.
I think they thought it was going to go if they could just push it away and like, oh, look at this is horrible. but it didn't, and so it's like, well, might as well make a nickel.
Well, I don't think it's totally make a nickel on it. What it was is, well, fine.
If we can control it, then
we can control it
and make money.
Everything's about money, but the money was going to be made regardless. But they were tired of NWA making money. They were tired of people like Wu-Tang making money, who was actually bringing some type of conscious thought. Now there's no conscious thought. There's no critical thinking in it. So it's all ignorance.
I mean, do you think all down south music is ignorant?
No, I mean, I don't think all Ludacris is ignorant. Or
I think he's incredibly talented for the...
Yeah.
You know, he's one of my favorites. And Nelly's, diverse. He tries out a lot of different things, which I give him a lot of props for. He's done country songs and different stuff and tried to mix it together. And that's his thing. That's his style. And he's interested in that stuff because that's what he grew up with. And so I think that's kind of cool and kind of interesting. And I don't know what that does for the rap game, but it's interesting anyways.
If you've even noticed, they're not even being pushed anymore. You don't see a lot of T.I. You don't see a lot of Ludacris anywhere. And they're talented. But you see a lot of Migos. You see a lot of Soulja Boy type rappers that, they're everywhere. And that's what people are listening to. They're like, do you hear the new trap song? It's like, this is garbage.
What about, you said something earlier, and I guess this is still tangenting away, but sorry, something about R&B / rappers, they don't know what they want to be. Do you have an example for that?
Drake.
He's not even real. He's that Disney guy or Nickelodeon or whatever. He's not real.
He's Degrassi.
You can't. Yeah, he's the guy who got shot. He was the basketball star and gets shot. And the other guy got he commits suicide. It's like the big episode because I've actually seen that and that's sad. But
he's the black Justin Timberlake.
But Justin Timberlake's talented.
Well, I'm not going to say Drake's not talented at all.
Hold my phone. Hold up. No, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's pretty bad.
He's going to be hard with his hat backwards and his pants sagging and hold my phone.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That was pretty awful. I mean, there's no street cred there. You lose. You lost me.
I don't think he had... How could you have street cred?
But I think he was trying. I think he was trying to say, like, he was hard, like, he had cred. And it's like, no, you're produced, just like every other boy band. They get picked and slotted and, oh, you're pretty, and okay, great, now get up here and sing this song. And I thought he was produced. He's not an actual authentic.
No, he's not good. He's
not good.
Like,
he's got an okay voice, but auto-tune.
I don't even think he has a good voice. He sounds like an attic door opening to me. That screech. That's what it sounds like to me. His whole voice. It's worse than mine. Mine's not very pleasant to hear. I apologize to all the fans out there.
Well, what about this new guy, this Weekend fellow that you keep listening to? That is god awful. He's horrible.
No, he's not horrible.
He is. He's whining. He's whiny. He's bitchy.
That's music today.
He's a bitch. He's beta. I'm sorry. I cannot listen to him. I hate his music. I hate when you play it. It's awful. And he's whiny. His voice is so irritating.
I've fallen victim to the catchiness. Forgive me,
Not
Lord.
Not even that catchy.
Oh, anyways, I'm not going to get off on a tangent on one guy.
We're on a tangent of a tangent of a tangent.
You are a tangent, you sexy thing. Anyways. No, like, Drake is one. Kanye is somewhat in that ballpark, but he actually is talented. He's like the Black Trent Reznor. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, Trent Reznor is very
whether you
talented.
like Trent's music or not, I mean, he was incredibly talented. 9 Inch Nails is Trent Reznor. It's produced and done. And yes, he has people on the road with him to be the band, but he does all that stuff himself.
Correct.
Similar to, I guess, I used to talk about Beck. I didn't understand that one, but...
I didn't understand his genius, but I do understand Trent Reznor's genius. I do understand Kanye's genius. Like, he has a music quality. Might not always be what I like, but there is this certain thing about Kanye that you're like, even when it's shitty, it's like pizza. Even when it's shitty, it's not bad. But even with someone like Kanye, it's not enough to like revive hip hop. You know, even with all his talents, even with him being like pizza, it's not Tupac. It's not Biggie. It's not what it used to be. Like there's no getting out of the graveyard. No kicking open the casket. Hip hop is dead.
I mean, are you sure we're not just old? I mean, because I remember thinking just the other day, we were listening to Tupac, and I think it was Changes, which I remember at the time when it came out was just like, really? Really? You're just going to kind of cut it in there and produce a song and make money off of a dead guy? Really? But now that I'm older and you listen to what he's talking about, and it just like gets at your heart, still, 15 years later.
Well, Tupac had a lot of stuff that needed to get out to the people.
No, I understand, but I mean, when you're kind of raw and back then, and you're like, really, you're gonna produce more stuff? Like somebody's making money off this, and so that's your original thought, right? It's kind of like an affront, and you're like, that's disgraceful and disrespectful. And
Death Row and Afeni Shakur both profited off of the music that was released after his death. What's that?
Mortem.
Post-mortem.
Yes. No, I understand that. But my point is that we were listening to Changes just a week ago. And he's talking about wars in the Middle East, and you've got poverty and all of these things, and
that's the crazy.
Holy cow, it's still happening.
Well, exactly.
And then he has that video clip where he's just like, I talk about the ghetto because I'm from the ghetto and I'm still here. That song put today could have been made yesterday, and it would be exactly the same emotion. The exact same things are going on in the news, the exact same things, and that's wild. And I was like, this is what the world needs right now.
The only part of that song is, I think that's the song he says, we're not ready to have a black president. That's the only difference, right?
Yes. And
we might not have been. At least not for that one.
Well,
I'm not going to get into those politics.
Well, it doesn't have to do with being black. It has to do with just the ideas.
Yeah.
And because we're still doing exactly what he said he didn't like, right? And that was his point. It's not a color thing as much as he was looking at it as me as a black man, and you look around my neighborhood, you look around people that I know, you look around, we are not ready because look at this mess. Then you fast forward, and it's like we're all in this together in a big fat mess, and the exact same things are going on today. And I remember thinking, we need a Tupac. We need one. Who is out there? Who is Tupac out there that can make people, a white kid in the suburbs paint that story that gives you empathy and sympathy, yet a backbone that it doesn't have to be this way. You can be better. You can be more. And
if you ask me,
it's inspiring.
Actually, if you ask me, like, Nas was close. Nas had some uplifting songs, but he was very inconsistent. And I'm a huge Nas fan, but Nas is borderline racist in some of his music.
Well, whether he is personally, I mean, it's a perception, right? Perception becomes reality. That it's like
there's certain times it's like, okay, with anything, the cracker stuff, the blaming it on the whites doesn't help. That's not going to help bring anyone together.
No,
but if you asked me, you say who's the Tupac now, I'd say the closest thing on the uplifting side would be J. Cole. He has some music out there that is more uplifting, and he really doesn't care if you like his music. He's just putting it out, and hey, here it is. This is me. We need to be about something. At one time, Kanye, he was putting out Jesus Walks, and he had some uplifting things. But then he got, I don't know if it's his ego or he just went just crazy a little bit, but his music definitely isn't the same as it once was. Now, Tupac also had a total flip side to him, which was rough, tumbling ghetto.
Was everything he didn't like. Everything he saw wrong in the world, he could totally be.
Yeah.
And he talked about that too, and I think that's part of the beautiful part of it.
Well, he says, I'm not perfect.
No, I'm not perfect. And I'm still here, Yeah, I'm going to act like this because I'm still here. That this is reality. And
it doesn't totally
but he didn't
give you the right to...
No, and I agree. But he knew that and was very vocal that things needed to change. He was very vocal that don't live by my example. There is more that we can do better. And he knew his faults and he called it out. And I mean, J. Cole does have some, decent,
more
uplifting,
positive.
more positive tones. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull people in like Tupac. I mean, that's what we're talking about because
I'm a big J. Cole fan.
People think suburbs. People think suburbs and you think like rich white people. I mean, that's the stereotype, right? You think ghetto, you think black people. But reality is we're all poor in this together in some form or fashion.
There's different levels of poverty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You've got like poverty. You've got working poor, working class, and then it starts to kind of go up from there and it gets a little better. But the percentage rate of how many of us
I've been in all tiers,
are
by the way.
in the bottom, and in those lower rungs of struggle, it's like, well, I make just enough not to be on food stamps, but I'm not doing any better and I'm eating worse, right? Like, it sucks. And this isn't a black thing, a white thing, a Hispanic thing. This is all of us, and everybody's trying to pull you apart and go, well, it's their fault, and no, it's their fault, and no, it's their fault, and it's like, no, we're all poor together, and and I feel like nobody's really reached that ability to kind of touch people regardless of what your house looks like or your block or whatever, and pull,
or your skin color.
Yeah, and pull that out of people that, like, you know what?
Why is melatonin such a big thing?
It's melanin.
Melanin? No, it's melatonin.
No, it's melanin.
Melanin?
Yeah.
I like melons. Fuck it. Anyways.
No, but I'm just saying, I don't see another Tupac. I mean, I see where you're going with J. Cole. No,
it's the closest thing.
It's a shame.
I mean, there's other uplifting, at least for, I would say, the inner city culture or black culture. There's definitely some other rappers. Mos Def, Talib Kweli. They do a lot of positive songs for black people. But unfortunately, on a lot of those songs, it's not so positive for white people. So it's like, I don't condone rappers talking about, storming white cities or whatever they think a white city is, or white block or whatever. Nor do I would condone a rock group or a country group or anybody who's white talking about, any type of like KKK stuff. David Allen Coe is past the boundaries of what's acceptable.
Of appropriate, yeah.
He has the freedom to say whatever he wants, but it's just inappropriate, like you said. But yeah, being able to gather everybody amongst, you're not going to be able to find another rapper. I mean, I'd say J. Cole's the closest, but he's nowhere even close to as powerful as what Tupac was.
Well, maybe that person's out there.
Maybe that person could have been me.
It may be. I don't think so.
No.
Because I don't see you
It's
singing.
the voice. It's the voice.
Well, yeah, but you like that gritty kind of New York style. And Tupac had that kind of waves on your heart, California kind of West Coast kind of flow.
But he did.
I know
though.
that
he still had the New York grinding, though. He
Yeah.
had the New York grinding.
But what songs of his were huge that every kid knew? That transcended your neighborhood,
Ain't
your skin color.
Ain't nobody party.
Right? He could do it, and it's very
shit,
flow.
now.
California Love, flow.
Well, yeah, everything off that CD was huge. Now, prior to that CD, he had Dear Mama. He had
Also another kind of, yeah.
All Eyes on Me. I'm a Strictly for My Niggas fan.
That one's my favorite too. Don't lose my CD.
I don't
It's
even know where
old.
your CD is.
It's old. It's an original. Don't lose that.
I don't know where it is.
I had to smuggle that, beneath my parents' nose.
Okay, so I know. Yeah, we could talk about Tupac for his.
I told you,
segment.
don't even talk about Tupac because he's got his own, history.
Other than Tupac, yes, him and Biggie, I think, kept hip hop not only alive, but they really grew it. Like, it entered a lot of white suburban families. It did. And they opened the door for, not, I mean, I was listening to LL Cool J and all the people, but you even said yourself that other than a few songs here and there that made it on MTV, you were listening to Madonna and some other stuff growing up, and then Tupac and Biggie came along and they kind of kicked the door open, and then people around your way started to listen to a little bit more rap music.
I think people across the country,
Well, yeah, so,
you'd see that the thing about it is when you kind of come from a town where you have the good old boys, but you're young, right? And so it's not necessarily a racist thing, but you got like a lot of trucks and a lot of let's go mudding and sort of things, and they're listening to the local country station, and then they're gonna turn around and they're putting on Tupac and Biggie. I mean, and Wu-Tang. Except for that, except for when they were all like, yeah, it's awesome. Isn't this awesome? Yeah, it's awesome. And none of us knew what the heck they were talking about.
The funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my life was in Fredericksburg, down here, I guess, country. I seen a guy.
It's either Fred Nick or Fred Rock. Depends.
This guy, oh my. The guy, he had a little Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Little sporty,
Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, right? And you could hear them off of Rome, But it was in camouflage.
Oh, yeah.
Painted camoufage. But
Sure.
it was a Honda Civic.
Sure.
It's like, you're not blending in, buddy. And it's you're sticking out. And he's sitting there with his, like, camouflage hat with the hooks in it.
But that usually means, like, a racist thing, right?
Yeah, looking redneck as hell.
Yeah.
Right? Other than the Civic.
And he's going to be basing.
And he's basing some Snoop Dogg. And I was like, this is weird. You know what I mean? This is like a cat and a dog having sex. It shouldn't.
Cat dog.
Yeah, cat dog. It shouldn't. Not saying that if you're a white redneck you can't like rap music. No, but just the look of it.
But that was like the first time you've seen that.
Yeah,
I grew up with that. I mean, that was so common to see this. But that was my point. I guess coming from a different area than you, that to see this crossover. Well, for us, I mean, this kind of crossover that, wow, this stuff was interesting, and is this for real? Is this stuff really going on? And it made you question. It's one of those things that opens that door to that critical thinking, like, is this really happening? And then, you had the Rodney King beating, you had that other guy, the white trucker guy who got beat the snot out of, so you had the double...
Reginald Denny.
Thank you. Like, that's so sad that I can't remember the white guy's name. But you had you had the exact same things, opposites. And then you had just the riots and the looting, and you had all of this stuff. You really want to take
this to a political conversation.
And no, I'm just saying, I remember being very young, and it kind of blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
And
you had O.J. Simpson going on too.
Yes, you did. But who was bringing you the story? Who did you trust? Did you trust the nightly news, or did you trust Tupac to tell you what he saw?
Mobb Deep.
Did you trust did you trust the rappers?
All the way, shook ones.
Yeah, did you trust them to tell you that this has always been going on? This is for real. This is not a joke, and we're not taking this anymore. We're gonna speak about this, and we are gonna be loud and proud about it.
We're not gonna take it.
That would actually be another good one to bring up, as far as talking about the putting less explicit lyrics and all that sort of stuff. The censorship, the beginning of Big Brother, and the censorship that goes on today.
So, anyways.
So yeah.
Well, you said so in your area, because it was a little bit more rednecky down south.
A lot of farms, and I mean, what else are you gonna have,
So other than Biggie and Pac, Wu-Tang was the big thing.
Yeah, you had to listen to it. You had to know who Wu-Tang was. Everybody had the cream shirt, right? Not cream colored. Cream
Crash
shirt.
was everything around me.
Well, some of the listeners might not know what I meant. Now they can go look it up.
Yeah.
So.
Get the money, dollar bill, y'all.
Right, and you can do the hand sign. Everybody knew.
You want to hear some funny? Speaking of shirts, Wu-Tang shirts. I think I was 17 down in Myrtle Beach, and I had a Wu-Tang shirt. And I went to Myrtle Beach with a friend of mine, Rob, and his family. And I had my little black Wu-Tang shirt on, and it said Wu-Tang on the front, and on the back it says "Ain't Nothing to Fuck With," because that's one of their songs off the 36 Chambers album. And we're at the go-kart place, right? And the guy said something shitty to me. I can't remember exactly what happened. And I think I told him to fuck off or something. And then something like that. I said something, and they kicked me out. And, like, how... Very embarrassing. Right? And they said it was because of my shirt. Right? That I had a cuss word on my shirt, and...
It's a family establishment.
But the guy was being an ass to me, and I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, fuck off. And pretty much told him to read my shirt. You know, little young 16-year-old thinking he's hot shit. You know, I ain't nothing.
Why did he
either.
just ask you to turn your shirt inside out?
He didn't say anything to me like that. He just started being like a real dick, and then I got kicked out of the park. So here I am with my buddy and his whole family, and everybody has to leave because I can't be in the park anymore over a t-shirt.
Well, I mean, now that I'm older, I can
the security
see.
guards. But the funny thing, this is what I remember the most. The security guards didn't know who Wu-Tang was, and they thought it was like something like
Some gang something.
It ain't nothing to fuck with. Well, who wins now? Like it was a trademark. Like I'm represented in the amusement park. It was pretty funny. Like I was laughing. Like it's a fucking song, dude. Like get over it.
And you're in South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach. I don't know if it was north or south because you know it straddles both.
No, Myrtle Beach is in South, but there's a North Myrtle Beach and a South Myrtle Beach.
Okay, well then.
Right, like I think it's the cutoff is at North Carolina, but it's.
Yeah, I thought it went to North Carolina and South Carolina, but
Maybe.
wherever we were.
Yeah. I know they consider it north and then
we were
it's
in the
south.
heart of Myrtle Beach.
Okay, that would be.
Where all the.
That would be in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Which the last time I was there, I'm shocked.
Oh well, now you got a bunch of people on mopeds.
Thuggin'.
We were walking down the
what?
street and there was literally 10 drug deals that I seen.
Yeah, didn't one guy ask you if you wanted to buy some dope?
Well, maybe.
Like,
I'm not gonna put it out there like that. I didn't buy.
it was weird. But like with families, I mean, it's still like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean,
Arcade is shutting down. The play area is shutting down, and you know, you're like, what in the world is going on here? Why is everything shutting down?
And
okay.
I knew it was time to go because like I could see the strip opening up and like it was just a mass line of cars that were thumping. And every once in a while you'd see this like lost traveler like, where the fuck am I? Because at this point,
look like us,
it
right?
was like
oh
dusk. You know, it was about to be nighttime, and you see tons of dudes on mopeds just ripping up and down the thing, and people blasting their music
like a DMX video.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, back
that's
in the day.
what it seemed like. And
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I gotta get the hell out of here. Not for myself, but I had the kids and everything. So, if I was by myself, I probably would have hung around and had some fun. But
what's going on, brother?
Yeah,
and let's hang out.
I battled a couple people and probably got my ass whooped, but
it happens.
Yeah.
So
Wu-Tang was a big thing for your neck of the woods. I mean, it was obviously big where I grew up as well. Which was only 20 minutes away or whatever.
It's a whole different world.
But it was a whole different world when I met you.
Well, I mean, you think at that time, my little town was becoming a big town. It was becoming a mirror image of where you were. But we still had tons of farms and tons of old families. And, I mean, I think one of the Decatur's was still a sheriff, and they're like an original family to the area. So, you still had that. I mean, I'd been to people's houses that didn't have running water.
That's crazy.
Out in Widewater. So, I mean...
Like, if someone didn't have running water at where I'm from, it's because they didn't pay their bill or their pipe was busted or some shit.
Yeah, they didn't have running water.
Like, I mean, they should have had running water. It's just something happened where
they said that the county didn't run the water that far yet. They hadn't got there. So they
That's
didn't.
just wild.
So they were pumping water. Yeah. They had an old, like...
Like, how do you shower?
You pump it. It's a pump.
Yeah, I still don't understand that.
Okay.
Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm talking about hip hop and we're pumping water.
You put it in a bucket and then you turn the shower head on, Dodo.
You shower out of a bucket? That's a quick shower.
You pour it in and it comes on you. Yeah. You can heat it up on the stove and then dump it and then it comes out of the shower head, but you have like a bucket there.
What's the point of having a shower head?
But there's ways to do it.
That's fucked up. No running water. Anyways, back to Wu-Tang killing the rap game. We went way off topic, and talking about Biggie and Tupac and everything like that. But Wu-Tang, in my opinion, killed the rap game.
Well, didn't they kind of fall off after that? They just didn't seem as popular as they once were. I mean, people appreciated their old stuff, but and Wu-Tang Forever, we all had it, but after that...
Well, you think about it afterwards, Method Man came out with his second album, which was good. He actually might have came out right before. I can't remember which was first. His second album or Wu-Tang Forever.
Right, and they did the thing with...
But that was the one with, it was Judgment Day or whatever. And that was a good album. I really liked it. Then afterwards, Old Dirty Bastard's second album, I Don't Care What You Say, was horrible. Hey, dirty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody liked that. That was like
people did.
No.
The people did. I'm just saying.
Maybe here and there. But like his
it was pushed awful hard.
Yeah, like his first CD was so new and weird and that
everybody
everybody
the one where he
just
does
like,
that. Remember when we was kids?
Yeah.
For like.
And I could keep up with him actually, but nobody really liked his second album. And after the second album, it got weirder and weirder. The RZA was putting out The Gravediggers, right? Which wasn't totally Wu-Tang, but it was Wu-Tang. It was him and 3 other guys, Prince Paul, and 2 other guys. It doesn't matter. And their first album was kind of like gory. It sounded like what you would think Gravediggers would rap about, right? And then their second one was all philosophical. Like, he had one called 12 Joules that it sounded dope as shit. But he's talking about biochemical equations and inner dimensions, and you're like, what, dude? Like, let's talk about digging up graves again. You know?
Let's go back to that. I didn't love that, but let's go back to that.
Yeah. Like,
that I understood.
Exactly. Yeah. And then...
it's not just that it was hard to understand.
Everybody's second and third albums, Raekwon's, like Method Man's second album was good. After that, Old Dirty Bastard's second album wasn't a hit. Raekwon's second album and I can't even pronounce the word, wasn't that good. Ghostface's album wasn't that good. It was Supreme Clientele. That was probably the next best one. Then they put out like Master Killa and put out Inspector Deck. Like, it just did not get traction. So by the time the third album came around, Master P and all these guys are booming, and nobody really cared about Gravel Pit. You know? That's
a good song.
Yeah, their Iron Flag CD just got no airplay. Got no traction at all. There was nothing.
What was the time frame that they did it with? They did that song with Fred Durst.
Who?
With Limp Bizkit. Yeah, for the Fast and Furious.
Oh, I mean, that was after I think we graduated, so 99 to 2000. By then, they were already done.
Well, what I was going to say previously was that it's not that... I guess the other side of the argument would be, well, if you're too stupid to go look it up and figure out what they're talking about, then that's your problem. It was so random and out there. Where would you even start to look that up to try to understand what they were talking about? You see what I'm saying? It's not like...
To be 100% honest, like I said, I'm no idiot. I understood what a lot of the words meant, but I didn't understand how they went together. Like, what does this have to do with this? Now, there has been some verses, some couple bars that, through research I've done on other things, I'm like, I think that's what he was talking about.
Well, that's the thing. It didn't flow. It didn't tell. Not like everything has to tell a story, but some sort of give me a place to at least start to go get on your level. Get on my level. Like, I can't even get on your level because you've given me snippets and bits and pieces. That, I mean, you think back then, it's not like you had the internet where you can just type in lyrics, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? There was no Google yet, like it is today. And that was more my thought, was that it wasn't just that, it was too smart for the average Joe, as much as it was so random and put together so bizarrely for the listener. You couldn't research this and have any clue what they were talking about in any form of kind of sequence or, historical or whatever it was they were talking about. Sometimes it's like, you said 12 joules, and it's like, isn't that a dwarf belt that you power up or something? What are we talking about here?
Well, in that one, he's, like I said, he starts talking about biochemical equations, and if you start listening, he's talking about, like, matter and some, like, astrological space shit and, like, quantum physics, but then he'll flip it to, like, some type of biblical scripture type thing, and it's like, you can't go from, like, quantum physics to the Bible in a matter of words, because how do you...
You're not bridging it.
Yeah,
the verses were not bridging together to tell you or give you at least a general idea. We talk about B.O.B. a lot and his stuff, but he definitely...
I love B.O.B. lately.
I know, and he's kind of blown up, and you've seen other people kind of get a lot of crap for saying similar stuff that's, in his albums.
He talks about flat Earth and a lot of conspiracy theories.
But his stuff is a little random. But you can look up that specific thing that he says, like the specific thing. You can go dig on that, and it's like, I understood what those words meant in that sentence. Yes. I don't understand what you're talking about, but in this sentence, you just gave me a starting point to go look. Which I would say would be much different than a lot of the...
There's one where he talks about gargling cranberry juice. And within, like, 25 seconds, more gallons is in it. So I actually...
More gallons disease.
I looked it up, and there's been, like... It's not... I don't want to say it's true, but there are, like, cases where people have said that there's traces of it. And cranberry juice that's been... I'm like, well, why gargle it? Because I don't want to put that shit in my mouth. Like, blender that shit. It's the same concept. You bubble it up.
I don't really know that disease specifically. I'm like, I thought it was the worms one, right?
No, that's the one with that. It's like thread.
It's like a thread worm, right?
But they don't know what it is. It's like you just get these weird threads that...
The blue threads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of... They always look like little worms to me, so yes. Yeah. You get it from water, but cranberries are grown in a marsh, so that would be logical. I do know that. I'm fairly good on science, but that's how you get it. It's from water. It's from unclean water, but cranberries grow in a marsh. That's where they're going to grow. That would be logical that's how you would get it. Is that what you're saying, that you get it from cranberry juice? Like he would get it from cranberry juice?
Yeah, he was saying that, that if you gargle it. Gargle. Yeah. If you little stone monster on top of a church, you're going to get a disease.
Yeah.
This guy's going to strike you down.
That's Johnny Cash.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Full
no,
circle.
Actually, gargoyles were set on sides of churches as watchers and protectors. They're not meant to be scary. They're meant to scare away demons. They're meant to be like demon-like to scare away other things that would encroach upon sacred ground. Fun fact for you.
Wouldn't like some holy water or some garlic or some shit?
Well, they do that too.
Okay.
But it's a warning.
That what? We have
They're like spouts, and then people thought they were warnings warding off evil spirits as they spouted the water down. Yeah.
Now I was talking about the gargoyles. Like
that's what I'm talking about.
They spit.
A lot of times they're the water spouts because you didn't have drainage systems like you have.
Yeah, but you see them over like the doorway. Anyways, fuck that.
It's for running water. Yeah.
Wu-Tang never talked about gargoyles that I know of.
Yeah. That was a sick cartoon though.
Okay.
Anyways.
No, but if you listen to the rap game now, it is god awful.
I was flipping through the other day on the radio. We flip and we scan and
play the music game.
And I guess being closer to where we are, being closer to a big city down here, there's a lot more channels down here than there were where we used to live. And I am horrified and appalled and like terrified that my radio will break on those channels because it's awful. It's just terrible. Nicki Minaj is trash. It's trash. It's awful. It's just, I mean...
Let's be honest. If Nicki Minaj wasn't
good looking,
sexy...
Yeah, she would be junk. She's junk.
But, okay.
Little Kim would have kicked her butt. Like, if they were the same age, if we could go back and have a battle... Hold on. If we could go back and have the death metal, the death match like we used to have on MTV, you know what I'm talking about, the Little K-Mation, you put Lil' Kim in her prime next to Nicki Minaj, Lil' Kim would eat her for breakfast. She would beat her to death. And then you'd have Foxy Brown come in and just roundhouse kick to the face. Like, the chicks that are today, Beyonce, Lil' Kim, they are nothing compared to, like, the bad bitches of back in the day. Like, Queen Latifah would murder them.
Oh, you talking about rapping? Or?
Yeah, and just lyrical ability, just, like, conscious thought, all of it.
The funny thing about that, there's a...
Slaughterhouse.
There's a new...
new chick?
Well, not a new chick, actually. Okay. You probably heard the name. Remy Ma?
Yeah.
So she's, like, back out of jail. Right?
Oh, okay. Is she back, trying to get back in the game?
Well, she's in the game. She did the track with Fat Joe, All the Way Up. I'm sure you've heard, like, All the Way Up.
Yeah.
Well, that's their song.
Okay.
Right? And I don't know what was said. What was said. But for some reason, they're beefing. Like, Nicki Minaj and Remy.
She'll probably murder her, too.
Oh, she did. Like, okay, you know, Nas's song, Ether.
Yeah.
Right? Well, she did a Sheether.
Okay.
And it's like 8.5 minutes long. And she just bodies her. Like, talks about all types of shit. Like, just totally destroys her. And, like, I remember Remy Ma from the M.O.P. Annie Up song. And I was like, yeah, Annie Up. Where she's talking about, you know, catch you backstage, you know, give me the keys to the Escalade. I was like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was the best verse on that whole remix. So, like, for a chick, she ripped it. Well, no. For a rapper, she ripped it. For a chick, she went up above and beyond.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was so male dominant, so that's where, you know, the patriarch you're saying, but that's just not what you did, right? Like, this, and then you had these women, these powerful, like, dirty, raw, in-your-face women come out, bow, right? And they could still be sexy, they could still be stuff. They're not Eve with Gwen Stefani and that type of garbage.
Okay,
and then, and that
Eve
just
had
started.
some skill. Eve did have some skill, and then she got a little bit of notoriety, and started to. She went to Gwen Stefani, and then she just totally got out of the game because she was no longer this rough chick that could be a little sweet. She was just this. She went Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
On everybody. She was no longer the pit bull in a skirt. She was just in a skirt.
Yeah. You know. And that's fine. That's who you want to be. But when you're talking about hip hop and rap game, you know, let's be serious, right? Like, this is what you want to hear. This is what you want to see.
And even Eve was better than most of the rappers today. She was better than. But when it comes to Nicki Minaj, actually, if you listen to some of her earlier stuff, she sounded more lyrical. She sounded like a better rapper. Not a good rapper, by all means. Not a good rapper. But a better one. Now it's just like selling her body. That's one of the things I never respected about Lil' Kim or Foxy Brown. Especially Lil' Kim. Like, I always wanted to fuck her. Same thing with Nicki Minaj. I would. But the lyrical ability was like, so you have to sell your pussy to sell a record, right? And it's kind of sad where that might be true because maybe they weren't respected as rappers, so they had to be more risky, you know?
Well, what about like Missy Elliott? I don't know how you feel.
Good point. She wasn't even sexy.
She made the one song like lost a few pounds in my waist for ya, you know, but she did the flip it and reverse it. And she's sick. Like, she came on at the halftime show, and I was like, oh, snap, it's Missy Elliott. Like, I haven't seen her in a minute.
Well, she was... I
was so excited.
She's definitely very talented.
Super talented. Yeah.
I never really considered her, like, a rapper. She was, like, a pop artist to me.
Well, rap...
And I think a lot of of rappers now are pop artists.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that rap went mainstream, right? Like, isn't that the issue? Isn't that the whole thing that we're talking about? You got Master P. So, again, you know, you could say, you know, everybody was singing it and it went mainstream. And so now you're going to have to follow the mainstream rules. You're going to have that, to get that big money, you're going to have the big record label with a bunch of suits that are telling you what to do, what don't do, how to dress, how to be, how to whatever. And, you know, and this is how we're going to make your money. And maybe it's more...
I could be wrong because I never made it into the rap game. Okay. I was always just trying to, right? But I never cared about making a hit song. And maybe that was my problem. Man, so I never made it into the rap game. But it was like, it seems to me that everybody was always, in a certain point, trying to make that one hit song. They didn't care if they were one hit wonders. At least once the middle of the 2000s came along, they wanted that ringtone rap. You give me that, you know, my white tees. You know, and whatever, I'll blow
Isn't that
up.
A song? Wait,
yeah.
Give me that. Isn't that like?
Well, give me that nut is.
Yeah. Sorry. I got distracted for a moment, but yeah.
And I will.
It's kind of poppy.
Give it to you.
It's kind of poppy. Now that we're old, it's kind of a poppy song.
I always love that song. I used to have that. If I'm dating myself here, on my pager. A little SkyTel pager. When you would page me, that's what you would hear. Was give me that nut. Just give me that.
That's so immature.
Yeah. Well, the other one was I'm an MC hustling. Because I was trying to be a...
Like, do you ever look back at your old self and get embarrassed now for yourself?
Oh,
like blush in your... Like, you know, you have like shower thoughts and you like, remember that one time? Then you kind of blush at yourself. And you're like, I'm embarrassed to know me. I'm embarrassed to be me back then. Right?
Oh, yeah. Look, I thought I was the shit because I had the SkyTel pager. So, nobody else had it. They just had the regular pager. I had, like, the doctor's pager. You know, I had a 1-800 number. You could page me from a payphone. Once again, dating myself. So, I'd get pages from payphones.
Oh, of course, right? You can't trace
it. And people would page you what they wanted, right?
Yes, I'm aware of how it works.
Okay.
We don't need to go into that.
Yeah, so, and how cocky I was for my little ringtone to be, I'm an MC hustling. Like, I just did dumb shit. Like, I would go to school and put my pager on the desk, knowing we weren't supposed to have pagers in school.
Blowing up and
it'd be right down the desk and be like, oh, I gotta go call my mom. I gotta go make a call. You know, like, they didn't know what was going on.
But they did.
Well, yeah, I got searched like 10 times at school. Never found anything, but...
I mean, I'm just saying, like... Anyways. Yeah, because, you know, rap went mainstream. That's where that went.
Well, yeah, I was trying to live the lyrics I was listening
So maybe...
to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe... Well, I don't think that was the original intent, first off. And that's the problem with it going mainstream and hitting the suburbs and different things. So maybe it's Tupac's fault. Maybe it's Biggie's fault for being that good. Maybe it's their fault for bringing it mainstream. For bringing it up that, you know, more than just who matters is hearing these lyrics that, you know, everyone heard. Everyone knew. And so it turned it into a cash cow. It turned it into something else. So maybe it's actually Tupac and Biggie's fault.
For what?
For being that good.
For killing hip-hop?
Killing hip-hop. Because they made it that good.
Well,
they made it cool. They made it interesting. They made it fun. You know? And, you know...
Well, nobody was there to carry the torch on after they both died, for one.
Right.
Jay-Z and Nas weren't good enough. And Wu-Tang was just... I've already broke down about Wu-Tang.
Right.
So it was definitely a combination of things. But most people like to... At least in my circles, who enjoyed lyrics and complex rhyme schemes, you know, that made sense, they tend to blame Master P. And it's like, don't hate, congratulate.
I'm gonna say,
You know, like a lot of people, you know, never even liked 50 Cent. I was a big 50 Cent fan. And whether or not you like him, you gotta respect that man. Same thing with Puff Daddy. Like, they grind.
Well, the first...
Like, they didn't get to where they were by having no skill or being good entrepreneurs. They knew what the hell they were doing. They hustled their craft. Now, I didn't care for Puff Daddy, you know, being in the back of every video and dancing around, but he sold himself. He sold himself. He's a salesman. 50 Cent, same way, except for no shiny suits or dancing, but he knew how to market himself. You know, he put himself in a good position a lot of different times.
A lot of sit-ups.
And a lot of sit-ups, yeah. He was cock diesel. That motherfucker was
back in the day, and they get a little chunky.
Yeah, a little chunky.
To pull the D'Angelo, right?
He got shot 9 times. I mean, to have any muscle, he's you know, he's like getting dead. But as all of them, I would take right now over what we have. Like, right. I would bring back Mace in the shiny suits in a heartbeat. Like, give me that slow flow, like...
Dude, he was on the other day on the radio. Because there's one station, like I was telling you, there's one station that's at the end, you know, in the high numbers, that plays, like, 90s hip-hop and 2000s. And I was just like, oh, snap! And turned it up, and, you know, kids are like, are you kidding me right now? And I'm like, shut up, this is my jam. You know? I've heard Lil' Kim on there, you know, and West Coast, East Coast, and worldwide. You know, and you're like, yes! And the kids are like, I can't believe that I'm seeing this right now. And you're like, well, just be quiet. We'll turn on Taylor Swift here in a minute. Just hush. And let me have my moment, and then I'm going to flip the channel, you know, and listen to whatever garbage they want to listen to, like 21 Pilots or whatever crap that they made me listen to along the way. The one person you haven't brought up into this conversation is Eminem. Having to do with... And you know he has to do with all of these people. He's running in this circle, and you stayed away from him. So, give me the skinny on, or what is it now? Is it the dirty? I guess it used to be give me the skinny, but I guess I'm old too. I dated myself. Give me the dirty on Eminem. What's your thoughts on Eminem and his contributions to the rap game and his influence in the rap
honest, game? Okay. What a waste of talent.
Today?
Period.
He looks like a drag queen. He's just missing the wig. It's so sad.
Well,
it's so sad.
We can get into a couple conspiracies about that.
Well, the cloning and stuff. Yeah, I know.
Clone, that's not really him.
It looks like him. He just looks like he's got a lot of makeup on to cover the hardship of his face and make him cute and marketable like he used to be. But he's older than us. By a little bit, so, I mean, he's not as young as he once was. He's not that cute, blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid that was singing about mushrooms or whatever.
Okay. So, he came out with the Slim Shady LP. It was garbage.
But it was interesting and it was new when it first came out.
It was new, and I understand that...
And it was wild and it was weird.
No, what it was is a white person actually has a little bit of skill. But if you actually listen to it, was not good. No, hold on. I'm going to critique it. It was choppy. He did not have good structure to his flow at all. It didn't make any sense at all. It was just a bunch of... Kind of like the crap he puts out today. It's all over the place. Yeah, it's some okay punchlines, some funny little things, but he ain't saying anything. Right? Like, and me personally, I couldn't stand the My Name Is. When that came out, everybody's like, oh, did you hear this? And it's like, you just like it because it's a white rapper. Coming from a white person, I still didn't care.
But it was funny.
I don't listen to rap music. If I want to laugh, I watch a comedy.
I understand.
No,
but the way he put things made it funny.
Yeah, and then there's a place for that in rap music. Because I have a couple bars where I'll say something kind of slick, and it's like, that's funny, you know? I'm not going to try to remember any of my lyrics at the moment. But you don't sell a CD of comedy unless you're Adam Sandler. Okay?
I understand. My point was, when Eminem's CD came out, the first one that we know, right? Like,
it was
there's other ones, but in the moment, I remember being
the song Butterphobia. If you listen to some of his other stuff, it was all right. Some of his even earlier stuff was all right. And even some of his stuff on the Slim Shady album. I would say there's about 3 good songs on that album. Other people will say it's a classic. Well, that's a big opinion difference. You know,
all
where
I'm
if I
saying
say
was
Illmatic is the greatest
moment.
album of all time, people go, no, it's classic. It's not my favorite. You know what I mean?
It's a difference of opinion. I'm just saying, in the moment of the time, the first time I heard it was like, whoa. No, it wasn't great. It was a little goofy, and the mushroom song and whatever.
If he wasn't white, he wouldn't have sold.
But it was funny.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Hold on. The one song that we all saw the MTV, it was funny. And you're like, what am I watching? What am I seeing? You know, this is some Beavis and Butthead type thing. And then you heard more of it. But it intrigued you to hear more. Like, he sold himself well with that one. Because you're like, what is this? And then you start seeing a little bit more. And then you start seeing him a little bit more. That's all I'm saying.
So
was that in the moment,
but
it was new and interesting and different.
From a white person who really got into hip-hop. Really, I loved hip-hop.
You're not saying he didn't.
History of hip-hop. I'm not saying he didn't either. He probably knows hip-hop as well. Right? But listening to that, and it was almost like, really, dude? Like, you could tell there was skill there. But it's like, you went whack to put yourself on the map. Okay, fine. A lot of people do that shit. I wouldn't do it. Same thing with, Mace. If you actually go back and listen to Mace before he came out, when he was rapping with Big L, him and Cameron, he was called Murder Mace, and Killer Cam. And there's some freestyles by them that doesn't sound like anything they've ever put out. And it's like, where are these people at? Because these were good rappers. Cameron and Mace suck. Well,
it doesn't sell. That would probably be the thought would be that, well, that doesn't sell. You didn't know those people. You know who those people are. But the masses don't know who they are. They know them as Mace in the shiny suit and hanging with Puff and
okay. Me myself, I don't respect people that sell something else.
And isn't L dead?
Big L's dead, yes.
Maybe that's why. I mean, maybe there's a theme here that we're really missing.
No, okay.
That
we can get into Big L.
I'm just saying, like, you live
Big
that
L
life.
Big L is actually one of the
die
best
by that
lyricists.
life.
A lot of people talk about, Eminem's a great lyricist. Big L is one of the greatest lyricists ever. And he did a lot of the funny shit, too,
Okay. I don't know it as well, I'm just saying. Right.
Like, I mean, he's the one, you can ask Beavis, I get nothing but head. Like, that's a funny line. He said something about, I'm so ahead of my time, my parents haven't met yet. Like, these are, like, nice little bars. He's like, you was never shit, your mother should have swallowed you. Like, there were bars that make you go, ooh, and laugh and stuff like that. What Eminem was doing it was corny-ass white shit. It was corny as shit. But anyways, like, he had a couple good not albums. He had a couple good songs on his first album. Rock Bottom was pretty good. I Don't Give a Fuck was alright. He had a couple okay stuff, and I could see the talent. I tell people, like, there's talent there, but I don't fuck with this comedy routine that he's doing. Now, his next album came out, the Marshall Mathers LP. There was probably about 7 good songs out of, like, maybe half of it was legitimately okay.
Which, odds speaking, are relatively good nowadays, right?
Yeah, now.
I think A-side, B-side of a tape, right? A-side is all your good song, and it was like 5 to 6, and B-side, whatever. But to have more than the average, or more than the half, right, is considered as...
My first claim was it was a waste of talent.
Yeah, I get it.
So, his second album was good. Overall, it was good. It wasn't great, but everybody was, I am whatever you say I am.
That album
God,
was really good.
It was this is awesome, man. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It was like the Beatles just came to town.
It was really
And it was
good.
like, no, he was all over TRL, and it's like, I don't care that he's making fun of teeny boppers. This guy is trying to be a part of the upper echelon of the rap game. The Biggies, the Pots,
and
the
you're
Nas,
focusing
the Jay-Z.
on teeny boppers.
And you're focusing on Britney Spears and Limp Bizkit and shit. Come on now, man. Let's be serious. You're catering. So he was smart, but I ain't even say he's not smart or anything. He catered to the suburban white people. Because he wasn't going to get respect from the inner cities with doing what he was doing. And he didn't. Now, his third album, The Eminem Show, that showed depth. That was I will say that was his best album. It was a classic album. Because I would say there might be one or two songs on there that I don't care for. I don't care for the square dance song because it's a silly song. Even his other silly song, trailer park around the outside. I can get with that. Like he had a couple of dope ass lines in that where he's talking about like, I'm not disgust, I'm just disgusting or whatever. You know, he kind of tongue twists it. It showed his range, because I mean he talked about a lot of different stuff. He showed his real feelings, and he didn't get crazy with it. And it showed his maturation. Maturation, whatever. Whatever. He's a natural, so maturation. All right? I'm making up words here. That's what us hip-hop artists do.
Yeah, I just complained about that an hour ago.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
But it showed his depth, right? That he could not only do a song about this, he could do a song about that. He touched a lot of different things, but the structure of each song was put together so much better.
Was he on drugs by then, do you think?
Yeah. I think he was on drugs probably the whole time.
Yeah, but I mean, like, really on drugs then?
Yeah.
Really? Right, because, like, there's a common, like, kind of theme with, like, Stone Temple Pilots, right? Like, on drugs, bomb album. Great. Yes. Not on drugs, you get songs like Orange Crush or whatever that crap was. Weird things happen not on drugs. Goes back on heroin, comes out with another banger. Right?
Yeah.
And not on drugs. It was like, come on, man.
So, okay, well,
I want you to live, but can you be like creative off drugs like you are on drugs? Apparently not. Right? Like he was like Stone Temple Pilots got like Weiland was only good on drugs because otherwise the album stunk.
Well, I'm not gonna say that that's Eminem.
I didn't know if that unleashes, right? Like, unfortunately, like something about that life or that struggle or whatever goes on in your head. Like, I don't do those things. Would have, let his creativity really peak and really pour out differently than maybe now where he's trying to recover and struggle and then that whole kind of mentality of where you've got to like disown your
even
old
myself,
life
like a couple beers would loosen me up. I'd be a better rapper. 15 beers, I suck.
Right.
All right.
Right. Well, I didn't know if his next one, because what was that? The
next one was okay. Well, there was a period of time. So after his third album, right? Then he signed 50 Cent, and he got involved with all that
production, and
he got involved with a lot of production, and he put out like the Re-Up album, and
that song.
And no, the Re-Up wasn't that bad. There was that's the one that had Jimmy Crack-Corn, but he had the song No Apologies on it, and I love that song. But at the same time, he was doing a lot of guest appearances and a lot of underground shit. He had a lot of like diss albums back then. That's when he came out with Bully and Haley's Revenge because they were dissing like Ja Rule and Benzino and everybody. And he went on.
Yeah, but that was on
Jay-Z's
Renegade
song and bodied Jay-Z on his own song. Like at that time, Eminem was not one to fuck with. Like him and 50 were just ruling the rap game. That whole clique around that time. But then Proof died. So I think that had a lot to do with it and the drugs. I think he got worse on drugs after Proof died.
Oh, I mean, that would be a natural thought process, right? Like, I mean, you just start really...
So that Encore album was garbage. There was like one or two okay songs.
Is that the one with the Rocket to the Moon?
No, that was later. Encore was the one with the Atomic Dog or whatever.
Oh my gosh, that one was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the dog, I don't think is funny. I mean, a lot of people think the dog is funny and in his little spots that he does on TV and stuff. But overall, to hear like a whole song with that, no. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Even who will defend his first album, like he's growing up and he's just trying to get his foot in the door. Like, I cannot defend that.
That album was horrible.
It was awful.
And then
that's why I'm like, no, the first album was not awful.
Encore.
That was awful.
Encore was awful. Then he had one called Relapse, which was just as bad.
I can't even pull. I know there was like one or two off of there, and
yeah, two CDs back to back that were just garbage. And I became an Eminem fan after the Eminem show. I was like, you know what? Kind of like Ludacris. I thought he was silly, and I didn't like him at first. And then I heard him on Nas's "Made You Look" remix, and I was like, wow, this motherfucker got
word of mouth is great.
Well, you know, there's a lot of artists that are like that. Like, you hear them on something, and you're like, then you hear them again later on, you're like, I gotta go back and check them out. And then you respect them a little bit differently.
Right.
That was Ludacris for me. And it's kind of the same thing with Eminem. Like, I actually had to go back and listen to his first two CDs. I still don't like the first one. There's a couple tracks that are good. But at first, I was like, don't even play that shit around me. I was so anti-Eminem when he first came out.
Maybe you're just jealous.
Yeah, I was jealous. Anyways, then he came out with Recovery. That's the one with the I'm a spacebound rock ship, your heart's the moon.
Aiming right at
Yeah.
you. That's bad. It's bad.
It was better than his last two. It really was. I was like, okay, he's getting better. He's starting to put punchlines together better and make a little bit more sense.
He's recovering, right?
Yeah.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt because we all want you to recover. We miss you, man. You know? And
I was excited for that CD because I heard like 2 freestyles that he did.
didn't he do a thing with Lil Wayne? That the one song that's is that on that one or is that on?
That's
they're in the city and or something or.
Well, no, he did one with Lil Wayne, "Drop the World."
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, which I didn't really care for that much. I mean, people say, "Oh,
it was hot for a minute." I mean, obviously,
on that,
I couldn't remember what it was. I couldn't remember a beat or tune to it. So,
but the new Eminem, since to me is back to garbage. It's like he's
erratic.
Well, he's so like, I need to get back to where I was, and then I was such a great rapper, and everybody respected me for rapping, and I was one of the best, and I'm so much better than everyone. That he compiles so many things. He's like a bad Wu-Tang now, because he's trying to compile so many different lines and things. Like, look, if it takes 3 bars to do a punchline, it's not a good punchline.
Do you remember we were talking about this probably like a month ago, and I said, "Is that the one? What's the one he does that he's talking about
sticking his penis in Nicki Minaj's anus?" Yeah,
and it's like he's got like 3 punchlines about anuses or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, really, dude? Come on, I expect better from you. Right? Like, you write better punchlines, you tell better jokes, you hit a little harder, and this upsets me.
And then you have him come out with that fucking Rap God. That whole CD. Like, I listened to everybody was like, oh, no, it's a good CD, it's a good CD, it's a good CD. And I listened to it, I remember one day, 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row, because I listened to it one time prior, and I was like, I went to work, and I was like, I ain't feeling it, yo. And they're like, oh, no, it's awesome. It's one of the best ones he's ever done. And I'm like, okay, sometimes it takes more than one listen. I'm guilty of not liking something at first, and then I didn't like 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying the first time I heard it. Seriously,
I'm shocked.
I didn't.
I'm shocked. But anyways.
Well, it's because I was listening to all his underground stuff, and it didn't sound the same.
Right.
It was more polished and wasn't as gritty, and Dr. Dre got a hold of it, which he ruins people, by the way. Anyways. No, I went home and I listened to it 3 times in a row. And he had the Berserk song. I'm like, I've heard this. Like, all the good, decent songs, I had already heard. So it's like, what new shit? There was like one other song that was okay, but I didn't like the Rap God song. And everyone's like, you hear how many times he spit, like he beat Twista, and I'm like, I didn't think Twista was a good rapper because I couldn't understand what he was saying. So, one, if I gotta rewind your shit to understand your lyrics, to understand even the words, then have to figure out what you're saying, it's a waste of time. It's not a good flow.
Yes, I appreciate that you can do this quickly, and that's awesome, and I think that's amazing. But when I'm listening to a song and I'm feeling the flow, right? Like, you're getting into the music, right? Music is an experience. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the kind of experience I want to have of confusion. That's not really what kind of music I want to listen to. Again, with Wu-Tang, circle back. The confusion is not good listening experience.
Exactly, and that's why I got to add a Wu-Tang. And it's exactly the same thing, because I listen to the Rap God song like I would torture myself.
And me.
And you. Over and over. Like, just breaking it down like, okay, what is he trying to say?
I'm a rap god.
I'm rap god. Coming from the Asgard. It's like, that didn't even rhyme. You slowed your shit up to... Like, come on. Like you said, I expect better out of you. And I expect better out of him. I've heard him do some of the greatest songs I've ever heard.
Okay, well, let's say
instead of putting out... he's a waste of talent.
Instead of putting out a CD, let's say he just drops, like, a single, and a single, and a single, and was honest about it. Like, I'm trying to get myself back. Like, we all know because you follow it, because not like you care.
No,
you kind of care.
I feel like he thinks he's back and he's back on top, and that he can just destroy anyone. But if you listen to the Recovery album, he just smashed so many words together to make these punchlines to be like, oh, see, I still got it.
Well, he talks about it. I still got it. You thought I was gone and blah blah. And he did the Dr. Dre thing. Dr. Dre did that too in the when Eminem first was kind of just coming out, right?
Yeah.
And he does the little hook, right? And it's like, oh, what?
You forgot about Dre.
Yeah. Yes. Same. Right?
Yeah.
Sold all my guns like I ain't got none, right? Like we get it, right? It was catchy and we got it. But I really couldn't tell you really any other songs off that album.
Oh, he had a couple ones.
I'm just saying, like, thinking back, like, I know that one.
Honestly, Dr. Dre's overhyped.
I can't really pull to memory quickly any other. That was my point.
Like, personally, Dr. Dre, yes, he's put some of the greatest albums or songs out. Some.
Yeah.
He's put some, like, things that will go down in hip-hop history.
Yeah.
And I'll give it to him. He's a legend. But at the same time, like I said, he's bad for anybody's career, other than Eminem. Because if you look at anybody that has been under him, what have they done with him? Okay, so he started off with NWA, and that was great, and I won't deny that. After he left NWA, he went to Death Row. And he put Death Row on the map. Well, Tupac died after the one album, so it's kind of hard to say there. Snoop Dogg had only one album with him. I don't believe...
With Doggy Style?
Doggy Style. I don't believe Dogfather was with Dr. Dre.
I thought he did his own thing. It was with the Dog Pound or something.
Well, he had the Dog Pound. The Dog Pound had one okay album, and then you never heard from them again. Corrupt had a couple solo projects, but they never became anything. Either did Daz Diggler.
Okay, let me just pause you right there to ask you a question.
All right.
So Snoop had Doggy Style. Huge.
Yeah.
Everybody knows all of it, right? And really wasn't my style. It's kind of raunchy for me. That I was like, ugh. A little degrading, kind of. That's what it was about, right?
I mean, there were some good songs on that CD.
I'm just saying, overall, what I remember back in the day was not really for me. I'm not gonna say it wasn't good, just wasn't for me, right? Little raunchy, kind of dirty, but there was the big ones we all know.
Yeah.
What did he do after that?
He did.
I feel like it was like 20 years before he did the pimp, whatever,
okay, so
with the pink suit that he came out with.
He did the Dogfather album.
What was on that?
I couldn't tell you one song.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I couldn't tell you. It's like he became big off of Doggy Style and became Snoop Dogg with Martha Stewart cooking.
So let me break it down.
Okay.
So I think he had a couple songs on the Murder Was the Case CD. I know that his song.
That song, Murder Was the Case of the Case.
Yeah.
Murder!
Yeah, and then they made this like little. I think Death Row actually made a little movie of it, and then made a Murder Was the Case soundtrack, and
that sounds terrible. But
he did a couple like featuring joints. Yeah. Then he did the Dogfather, which I think there was like one song that like tried to make it out and wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying. I can't think of anything.
After Dogfather, he left Death Row and signed with No Limit.
And did what?
he did a couple, I think 1 or 2 albums with Death Row, and he guest appeared on their, not Death Row, No Limit, on some of their albums. But that wasn't good. And then, shit, when I was, 22, that's when he came out with Beautiful, or Sexual,
Whatever.
Seduction.
That was bad.
So, other than that, I mean, he's done some things since then, but, I mean, you asked about Snoop Dogg. What was it that you were wondering about Snoop Dogg, or is that's all you were wondering? Like, what has he done since Doggy Style, which you weren't a fan of?
I mean, like I tried to say, I'm not taking anything away from Doggy Style, the album and whatever.
Well, no,
it
that's
was
your
huge
opinion.
and people love it.
Yeah.
Yes, my opinion, a little raunchy for me, but
I'm the offender here.
right, you know, but that was just me. Like, wow, I appreciate, but but he's considered like, oh, he's an OG and he's this and that, and I'm like, and he's a bajillionaire, right? And
I don't think he's as rich as people think he is.
he had like $11,000 shoes. Remember, he had the TV show with his kids, and they lost his $11,000 slippers or some nonsense, right? Like sold them or something. Remember?
No.
With his kids and stuff. Been with the same boo forever. Talking all that smack about I'm a pimp and I'm this and getting girls. No, he's been with the same chick for like 30 years.
Well, look at him. He really did look like a Doberman picture.
He really does. But, right? But he was funny and, you know, he's interesting and he's that, like, oh, he's always high guy. You know, even though I think that's just the way he looks, right?
He was a personality. That's what kept him around. He was kind of that red carpet personality.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he's, you know, still everywhere. Like, he's talking about politics now and all these different things. And you're like, who are you? You are like a one CD wonder, right? Not a one hit. You are a one CD wonder that kind of sprinkled along the way. Like, why are you still relevant? Why do people still think you're relevant? Right? I would say
Eminem. They laughed at him with the Snoop Lion. He tried to change his name for a minute. The Snoop Lion.
Oh, yeah. And we all giggled. Like, he done lost his mind. He need to put down that chronic. But anyways, we were talking about Eminem before that. So my train of thought was, at least he was trying to come back. And I understand wanting to take over the game again and be like, I'm big and I'm bad and I'm here and I still can do this. And obviously he can. I would have thought...
He could.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could have dropped like a single, taking your time, you know, take your time. You've got a huge fan base that is dying for you to get better, get well, and come back. Like, we're all waiting with open arms. Like, come on back, Eminem. Like, it's all right, man. You fell down in it. Get better, get healthy, and come back.
I mean, I personally,
right?
I would pity the person who really went at him.
No, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, you would be, as a fan, I could see, because so many people, right? Like, he could take that time to put out a song, rather than a whole CD, like you were saying. Like, you put out, and it's like, why, dude? You could have taken your time. You don't need to prove you are the best. That shows a weakness, right?
No,
like, you are the best, and
put
you
out
could.
Better CDs. He just could have put out better CDs.
Yeah, but I think he was rushing it. Was my point. Where then you have somebody like Snoop Dogg that's been riding fame for 30 years that I can't think of anything he did past Doggy Style. Like, what else did he do? I don't know.
Relevancy wise,
I'm not a huge rap person, so maybe I didn't know. That's why I asked.
The Beautiful song and the Sexual Seduction song. He had Drop It Like It's Hot, Drop It Like It's Hot.
Yeah, those things. That's what I was saying. Like, you know,
that's horrible. It's really. I thought that song was horrible.
It was funny. I mean, we all laughed because it was so bad, and we all sang it because it was so bad. I mean, right?
Did we? Like, was it?
It became a meme. It became a meme. It became a meme. It really did. It before memes were a thing, right? Like, oh, you dropped it like it was hot. It became a punchline, a pun, a bad joke. It did, right? Because you say that all the time. Oh, It's like, oh, whoops, the other day I dropped my phone. Did you drop it like it was hot? It's like, yeah, I dropped it like it was hot.
But at the same time, Lil Wayne, or was it I think it was just Lil Wayne. Or no, it was Juvenile that was Back That Ass Up. I think it was Lil Wayne that had the Drop It Like It's Hot song.
Also?
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't, it was his little gremlin voice talking about dropping it like it's hot.
Okay.
No. Actually, that was Back That Ass Up. Yeah, it was from Juvenile's Back That Ass Up, and that was Lil Wayne's verse. He's talking about dropping it like it's hot, and then he just keeps on kind of...
Yeah, because they turn it into, they're dropping tracks like it's hot. Everything's been dropped like it's hot. Everything. I dropped stuff in the kitchen because it's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's become a running joke. It's a punchline. It is a pun. We all know that it was his song, but our kids do it. I mean, like our teenagers now know that line. And it's funny.
Yes. You still hear me?
Yeah, I can still see you. But anyways, so now we've covered everybody, but so do you think because Wu-Tang talked above and beyond and in such a discombobulated mess that it left a void? Like, you know how they talk about like ISIS and like the JV team that became, you made a void that real bad guys showed up, right? Do you think it's like that? Do you think that it created a void for less talented, less mature, less thoughtful, just club hits, just swooped in and filled the void? Do you think it created a void?
No, I think what happened was, and maybe I didn't explain...
It was an evolution.
Maybe I didn't explain myself right. Okay? So, you know how they say, like, history kind of repeats itself?
Yeah.
Okay, so when the rap game first started off, it was very simplistic.
Okay.
Very simplistic raps. There was a few people that was rapping more complex, but for the most part, not as much. It was simplistic, and then there was an evolution of it, right?
Okay,
and then they started to rap better, and they started rapping against each other, and there was a competitive spirit. But I'm the best rapper, so got more intricate.
What can I do? What can I do?
And they were flipping flows in different ways, and people were rapping backwards, and let me do the alphabet, let me try this, let me try that, and I'm rapping this perspective and that perspective. And Wu-Tang, I guess, pushed it to another dimension, right? And it
like the 37th chamber that nobody wants to go into, right?
Right, and it went full circle.
So now it's back to simplistic and
It went back to simplistic, yes.
And
because nobody was going to, like, yes, there's rappers that have come out since that, you think of guys like Papoose did Alphabetical Slaughter. Joyner Lucas just did one where he raps a whole verses forwards and then backwards, and they both make sense.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you go, what's the guy with the eyes? What's the guy? Where's the contacts?
Hobson?
There you go.
Yeah,
he's good.
He has some stuff, and other stuff sounds like corny ass like Eminem shit. Right? Everyone calls him the Black Eminem.
I didn't know that. But yeah. I mean, I've heard some stuff by him that he's telling a story. It's logical, it's deep, it's thoughtful, it's critical thinking. It's like, yes, but it's not too deep, right? Yes, it's very simplistic, so it reaches you on a very basic level that I can follow along and be like, yeah, all right.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think at the same time, like, it reached its pinnacle. And Wu-Tang had got to that point of, like, what the fuck? Like, there's... I'm not going to say there's no more that you could do. But there was... Why try to top that? Like, and get bigger words? Because that's what it ended up being. Like, rhyming bigger words and more syllables. Even in my raps. Like, I'm a syllable rapper. I don't want to just rhyme the last, like, fat cat, because you hear people rhyming words. It's like, Yeah, they had the same ending, but that word doesn't rhyme.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get my drift?
Yeah.
But there used to be multiple syllables, and the more syllables you could rhyme, the better a rapper you were. Now, it doesn't matter the syllables. It can end in a T, just as long as the other word ends in a T, and it's fine. And
That's pretty awful.
It's got.
And what's even worse is that, at least from what I've heard, and I don't hear much because I just change immediately, like, oh my gosh, no thank you, is that it isn't even like quality club hits. It's that it doesn't have the background, it doesn't have the bass, it doesn't have the dance, like, the Usher, and
it's nothing.
It does nothing. It's not even appealing at all. And it's like I could take
it's really down
the
to
stupid,
the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, I could take the kind of ignorant
to the windows, to the walls.
I could take it. You're like, well, yeah, it's pretty awful, but man, it makes you want to dance, and those sorts of songs. But now I don't hear it at all. I'm not even hearing like I don't want to hear this music, nor do I want to hear you singing over this music. It's just bad all the way around.
And that's the sad point, because like, I guess being maybe a white person, I don't know. I'm going on a limb and say that, but I've, for my lifetime, since liking hip hop music, which I was 8-9 years old, first listening to Run DMC and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And it getting a bad rap forever, and always sticking up for hip hop music. Like, no, you don't understand.
Defending it like a bad girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I was defending it.
Like you were just talking about.
And
don't defend the bad girlfriend.
I can't defend it any longer. Like, it has really like got to Chris Rock point, and what I mean by that is, it's really saying I'm putting a dick in the ear. Yeah.
They ain't talking about me. They just said your name. Dig it in the ear. Dig it in the ear. But it sounds good. It's like, oh man, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't even sound good.
The beats aren't good. A lot of it's kind of auto-tuned, or we're going to play around. And I'm not even taking anything away from T-Pain. Like, that has its moments. It has its funness, right? Like, he does that voice thing, and that's his thing.
It has its place.
That's
Ron Isley did it as well.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm not even mad about the auto-tune. Like I said, Kanye West really is great these days. And that's the sad point, because I was never a huge Kanye fan. I think he's talented. I said that earlier. But I don't think he's a great rapper.
No, he's great with producing, and his music is fantastic. But,
music sense, he started off with Jay-Z as a producer, not a rapper. He does have some skills, yes.
Yeah, I like when it's far in between from him, because that means he's really got something to say. Like, I loved Gold Digger. I did. And it's funny, right? And with Jamie Foxx and that kind of Ray Charles thing, that was awesome. I did. I totally dug it. We had Jesus Walks earlier than that, and a couple others. And, but it was like he had something to say. I've got something to say, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to do it my way. And you're like, I can respect that. And I dig it. And then, but when it feels forced, right? Like you were saying about Eminem, with him and different stuff, you're like, not a fan.
Jay-Z's not even good anymore. Nas isn't good anymore.
I can't remember the last good Jay-Z song I heard. I mean, I'm sure they're out there underground or something, but as far as, on the regular level, get on my level, I'm not hearing it, right? Like, I would take 3 6 Mafia back in a heartbeat. Like, where are you guys? Like, let's tear
half
them
up.
Dead
or in jail.
Yeah, but there's two guys, because they had a show on MTV, right? And you're like, where are you? Like,
DJ Paul died.
Did he really?
Yeah, he died.
Is that the one with the...
Yeah, the little fucked up hand.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
What happened? Do you remember? I don't know.
I don't know, because...
Was it like a complication? I didn't know if it was like drugs or anything.
No,
it
wasn't
like
drugs.
A murder. I thought it was a
complication.
complication. Now that you say that.
Kidney failure? It might have been for him. It was something like that.
That's what I was saying. I was like, now that you say that, I want to say it was something...
The other guy, Lord Infamous, died. And the rest of them, they've either kicked out of the group or been in jail. So Juicy J went solo, and he's rapping under Kanye's thing, I do believe, or Drake's, one of the two. He's with somebody, and he's doing his thing.
I'd take some Outcasts right about now, even. And
Well,
I'm
a
not
lot
a
of people
huge
are asking back for, hey, Andre, come back. You know, I was never a
Big Boy and
Outkast fan. No, there's really no great rap music out there. And most of the people I listen to are underground. You know, I mentioned Joyner Lucas. I like My Son. I'm a huge Slaughterhouse fan.
Great, yeah.
Now, I talk about somebody that...
Joel.
Yeah, Joel's good, but sentimental-wise, Joe Budden is actually one of the better ones of that. Like, he can say some stuff, and he actually pulls at your heartstrings a little too much, because he'll say some shit that you really don't want to listen about, you know, like about his fetus dying and stuff like that, and that those are supposed to be his twins, and you're like, oh, dude, come on, man, this is supposed to be a hip-hop song. I'm supposed to feel a little different right now. Damn near got me in tears,
right.
You know. But he's good at that, and he's lyrical. I appreciate lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell everybody, like, oh, they'll be at work. Oh, did you like this guy? How about this guy? You know, and I'm like, I'll put it this way: if the guy can't out rap me, I don't want to listen to him.
Right.
Point blank. And not saying I'm the greatest lyricist out there, but I respect lyrics, and that's what I listen to. I don't care how good of a beat you got. Now, I understand you can't be a big mainstream artist without a decent beat, without a good beat. But there's a lot of underground people that have good enough beats that nobody gives them any airplay because for some reason you don't hear what they're saying. Maybe they're too real. Maybe they're this or that.
No, it's trying to make that comeback like it was before. You're saying, like, trying to...
And one of the things I can't understand for the life of me is, like, why do we compare record sales? Like, that makes you a better artist? Like, well, because I got this much money and I've sold this many records. That just means... No, that means more white teens are buying your album than the other guy. That means you sold out more. Honestly.
Right.
That's what that means.
Well, like, a couple years ago, I guess, you know, the other set of teenagers were coming up, right? And they had that white guy rapping about shoes. And
Mac Miller?
There's some white kid, right? He looked like his name should be Andy, right? Like, very...
He's still somebody. Yeah,
white,
Donald Trump diss and everything.
This little guy, right? And you were like, dude, that's it. It's over. The party is over. Pack it in, boys. We are done here. And that was, I mean, what, 5-7 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe 8 years ago at this point. Because you were like, it used to be about what you saw in the street, what you saw outside of your house, what your mom was struggling with, what, you know, whether your dad was there or not, those sorts of things, like, right?
Yeah, I have a certain philosophy about it, and a lot of people don't like this. My thought process on this.
And then you're like, of course he's gonna rap about going to the freaking mall because he's got money.
Well,
you know, he said something like that. And it was just so
like,
funny.
And it's kind of wild being a white person saying it's like, I understand that this was a music derived from the black culture, and never when myself doing it did I ever want to take it away from that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I probably put myself into that realm more than I should have. You know,
but you're not. Are you going to be like a I'm so sorry, but I'm still going to take all this money and all the awards like Macklemore? Because he totally did that, and it was like, really, dude? Like, you're not even proud of yourself, but you're still going to get all the shit. You're still going to take all the rewards.
I don't
even think he's that good.
I don't think Macklemore's that good either. He's a joke, actually. But I don't know where he came from or anything like that. I would tell people,
enough,
like, look, if I were to ever win an award, say I made it or whatever, was my life as hard as maybe the next rapper? Maybe not. Was my life easier than the next rapper? Maybe so. Doesn't mean every rapper's life was better or
Kid Rock,
you know,
right?
whatever. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I had it good though either.
That's a common misconception.
Yeah, like I went through some shit. I went through a lot of shit. I've experienced. I got a feeling I've experienced a lot more shit than some of the rappers that people listen to. You know,
a lot of poor choices.
And I'm pretty sure I got more street cred than a lot of them nowadays do.
Yeah.
Now that might be self-induced.
Yeah.
I put myself in those positions. I wasn't forced upon some of those streets that I hung out on. Maybe so. Maybe I was that kid. You know, if you watch Sugar Hill, that he rode his bike from the nice neighborhood down. Okay, yeah, I lived in a better neighborhood than the one that was actually selling. We played the game Crack Bag in. Right. Yes, I didn't live in Crack Bag Central, but I hung out there for some reason. Right. But
or I did, and I chose not to hang out there. It's funny. Yeah, it's a funny story, right?
But I grew up house poor. Like, I had a nice house. My parents bought all the nice shit for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
Right? You know, like, okay, we got new furniture,
but
no
it's like
heat.
crappy furniture.
It's so shitty furniture, no heat, and what are we gonna eat? What are we gonna eat this week? I don't fucking know. You know, we had our good years, we had our bad years, but whatever.
Like, these kinds of stories make me laugh, you know?
Yeah.
We never had a new thing. I don't remember ever having anything new in our house, ever.
Okay, we're getting a little off topic.
But...
So would I have took the words? Hell yeah. And if someone had something to say, I fucking, you know...
I worked hard for this shit, fuck off. Well, Macklemore didn't do that.
Rap better than me. That's what I tell him. Rap better than me.
Like, he got
up
you got a problem with that, to accept an award.
I'm that type of person. Like, yeah, I was never good with mama jokes, right? Like, I'm not gonna mama joke you. My comeback was, "Can you whoop my ass?"
No, I get it. I'm just saying, like, he got up and he was just like, "Well, we all know." Yeah, I don't know. You can look it up, but
I'm the new Elvis Presley. I'm stealing all the black music.
Well, yeah, he was just like, you know, and I understand my place as a white man. It was kind of really like shit, dude. And you're like, really, like. I don't know.
No,
I just didn't. I didn't like.
I'd be more Eminem style. I'm not gonna be a white apologist, but goddamn right, I fucking just won this shit, and I'm better.
You know,
step up your game. But no, the ideology that I have on that, like you were saying, that time frame is when I seen Macklemore, I remember watching the video. He like wakes up in this big ass house, nice comfy comforter with a bong next to him. He's late for school, puts on his nice little sneakers and everything, and goes to school. I'm like,
not Macklemore, the other guy.
No, Mac Miller, and he's still a fucking kid, right? Yeah. And he's driving like a nice car to school or some shit like that. You know, I don't totally remember the video, but I remember that part where he wakes up with the bong in the bed and all that shit, and he's hanging out with a bunch of white people, right?
Yeah, and they were going to the mall to buy shoes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, Jay-Z has sold it to, you know, what's the difference between, you know, a 4.0 and a 4.5, you know, 60 grand or better, you know, beat it, cocksucker. It was like, Jay-Z's reason that monetary value in hip-hop game is as big as it is. And I'll say that right now. I'll go on record and say that.
You think
Jay-Z is at fault. He takes some responsibility of the death of hip hop. So when you start putting monetary value on things and make it materialistic, and it's no longer about street cred or ability.
My whip, my chains, my grill.
Well, no. So it's not about your street cred, right?
Right.
And it's not about your lyrical ability as much anymore.
It's about what you got.
It's about what you got. You know. So if you can talk well. Rap well about money, buying out bars, the cars you drive, the clothes you got.
So I just said my whip, my chains.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's...
Yeah.
Check out my ride,
when that astounds you and makes you a better rapper than the struggles you've lived through in life and the things you can talk about and the importance of that stuff, well then, damn right white people are going to be better rappers in the future.
So, to sum that whole thought up, to pull something out, so rap went from, I won't say being a better person, but being a person, to acquiring crap is what happened.
You ever seen the cartoon Robots? It's a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about upgrading.
Yeah, why be you when you can be new? Yeah.
Yeah, why be you when you can be new?
I'm very aware of that one. I see the... I kind of think about that movie now because it's kind of old, right? Like Nelly, the little robot, doing Nelly song was in there.
Yeah.
And I think about that now, like, dude, that's what happens, right? Why be you when you can be new? You know, buy this makeup, buy these shoes, you need these pants, so lift and talk, right? And it's like, why? Why? I think I'm awesome. I think you're awesome. I think we're awesome.
Yeah, when Wu-Tang first hit the streets on their first album, they were all wearing some shitty ass jackets, some sweatpants and shit like that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, right? Like,
but that's what they had. That's what they had.
But I was saying, if you go back and watch, for example, because this was me, right? When I was a little kid, and watching Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, right? And I remember
had wild ass outfits that they put together on a low budget.
They did. There's an interview of Madonna being like, you know, where she had the, you know, the gloves and the skirt, right, and boy toy, like, all this stuff, right, and the leather jacket and whatever, right, and she's like, you know, then you start seeing all these girls show up to the concerts with your hair done like that, and the leather jackets and the whole shebang, and she's like, really? It's because I didn't have anything else to wear. Like, you're raiding thrift stores to put together something because you got to go perform. And you literally have no money. The Go-Go's, same thing. They started out as like a punk band, same situation. Like, our style, our kind of pizzazz funkiness was really out of poverty, more out of poverty. You look at old punk bands and shit, like, their jeans are all ripped, not because it's cool, because I don't have any jeans that don't have holes in them at this point, right? Like, they've been in one too many bar scrums, and some of that, I guess, authenticity, you know, that genuine struggle and no matter what it is you're talking about, is lost, right? And I think it's a shame, right?
Well, there's a good reason why most artists, and not just hip hop artists, but most artists,
do that, or?
Well, no. I was thinking about what I had just said. Anyways, most artists, when they first come out, that's their best album.
Because they want it.
Well, no, I've always, like, wondered, and I have a lot of different reasons why I think so.
Okay.
Right? One, they're hungrier.
Well,
it's raw. It's raw emotion. But also, two, they have the most time to come up with it.
Well, they've probably been working on that for a long time to
like,
put it down.
If you finally catch me, say you're an A&R and you're like, I want to sign you. Well, I got books upon books of lyrics. Now, I might not use one verse of that, but I can use this bar and this bar and this bar and this bar, right, that I've had in other raps.
Yeah.
Or this verse, but it wasn't part of that song. Or whatever. But I still get that raw emotion, too.
Yeah.
Now, once I put out a CD, they're like, okay, you're going to need to put a CD out within the next year and a half.
But we're also going to throw you on tour.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be home, and for the next 10 months...
And you're not as hungry. No, like, literally hungry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists, if you listen to them, like, I was hungry as shit. Now, wanting to, like, not the want, but the, like, stomach pains. Hungry.
Yeah.
You know, once you start eating some filet mignon on tour or whatever, you know, you're in the big office meeting or whatever.
I think Biggie's the only one that could transition that. He wrote a whole song about it. Now I'm doing all this stuff, and it's awesome. It is great.
Well, Nas talks about it in his CD Life is Good. He's like, I've been rich longer than I've been broke now. Because he got signed when he was 18. Now he's like 40 years old. Like, how can he talk about guns in the streets and violence? So I respect an artist like a Jay-Z and a Nas that when they start talking about at a certain point, hey, they're buying out the bar, they're driving in this car, their life has changed. Now, when a brand new artist talks about driving a Bugatti, I'm like, come on, motherfucker. Like, I say to one of my raps, I'm like, you know, you can lie to me, but be true to yourself. Like,
is that why you, like, kind of dig on Yellow Wolf? Like, he, like, you see the videos of being out in Alabama with his little country voice, and he ain't got a damn thing. Well, yeah, but you're like, I can respect it. I don't love it, but I can respect the shit out of this kid. You know,
yeah,
doing it and telling a real story. Like, You come on their property, they might shoot you, and you might not be found. Sorry, heads up, right? Like, and you're like, yikes, bro.
Yeah, that's how some rednecks get down, you know.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. Like that I guess you were kind of drawn to him because it's like it's a real story. I don't love his voice, and that's usually the part that gets me with him. That it's not a southern drawl.
On you.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah, but he tells a real story, a real struggle.
Yeah.
He's really poor, for real, you know, and it's like, okay, well then, all right. Go ahead, little Alabama dude, with your accent and your poverty. But you can feel it, right? You get it. I get him talking about mudding. I get him about getting the truck stuck. I get it. And it's different, for sure, but I understand it, you know. But I wouldn't say that I would want kids trying to get in the game to behave like the older rappers. I don't want... I'm not saying, like, I would love for the rap game to change. Hold on. I would love for the rap game to change, but I don't want the next generation or the upcoming generation, the one that's, like, right on our heels, to be like, oh, well, I need to go shoot somebody, I need to go sell drugs, I need to go act wild to get street cred so that I can be authentic. So how do you bridge that gap of being authentic and being
It's actually a good question because, like, when I was coming up in the 90s, like I said, you had to have street cred, especially if you're a white dude. Like even nowadays, I'm sure being white and being a rapper, there's a little bit more, like... Really? Yeah, exactly.
Really?
You know how many people I've said, you know, yeah, I can spit. And they're like, yeah, okay. And then I spit and they're like, I did not expect that from you. Like, that's crazy.
I was like, I don't even own a pair of Jordans and I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But I had to sell my chain once. Shit.
When I was coming up, no, there was some definite, like, I was intrigued by that lifestyle. Like, I remember being... I don't even know if I was 10 yet. And I seen the movie Juice. And I don't know what clicked about that. The movie Juice. Right? I seen Juice, and there was something about the way they run from the cops on the building tops. Right? And I'm not trying to rhyme there. But...
You know they do that in The Crow, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that was awesome.
But there was something about that just intrigued me. And I was like, that's it. And in the same movie, the guy's doing the DJ. Q. He's DJing. And I was like, I found my calling. Like, I want to live this life. Right? But I live in Dumfries. I don't live in New York City. I live in Dumfries.
You really shouldn't say that.
Dumfries. And I was a dumb fry. So I started to, and to
you know
be honest,
that joke, right?
Huh?
What do you get when you live somewhere in between Dumfries and Manassas?
Dumbasses.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Go ahead.
Anyways. Nice joke. So I seen the movie, and like I said, I was intrigued by it, and I kind of wanted to live that life.
You didn't think... Seriously? Hold on. You didn't think, wow, I would like to grow up to be a DJ. I would like to grow up to be an artist. I would like to grow up to own a club. You thought, I want to live that life? Seriously?
Well, okay, so like I had two older brothers.
Do you understand what I'm asking you?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had two older brothers, and they would bully the shit out of me.
Okay.
Beat the shit out of me. So like I seen like Tupac in that movie as a person of strength.
Okay.
Right? And I seen everything else. Like, these are guys that got kind of picked on that said, I'm not taking it anymore. Because they were kind of like not the coolest kids. They were kind of cool, but not the coolest. Right? And that was Tupac. Like, I'm not going to be punked by Ronamez anymore. I'm not going to be punked by the corner store clerk anymore.
Okay, you know? I get it.
And I was like, yeah, that's going to be me. I'm not going to... No. From this day forward, I am a man. I took some ass whoopings by my brothers, still trying to prove that. But, like, from that day forward, that's the way I lived.
Okay.
Like, I'm not taking shit.
Got it.
So, it wasn't like I went out and was like, I need to prove myself to be a better... To be a rapper, I'm going to do this. But it was just like, my mind state changed.
Okay, from being like, you know, picked on, you know, probably babied a bit, you know, mama's boy.
Yeah.
I mean, most.
I
don't mean that.
Son,
right, that's what I'm saying. You know, being the youngest, usually that happens. I mean, that's a natural order of life, and then that's right. So you want to be like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be the baby. I'm gonna be grown. Kind of a thought. Okay.
And I took it to another extreme. I did, and you know, I warn the kids now about, like, don't do what I did. Don't try to be the EST of anything. Don't try to be the toughest, the baddest, the coolest, or anything, because that's what I try to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not gonna be punked. I'm gonna be this. You know, and I lived that lifestyle. I was the craziest. I was the toughest. I was the roughest. Like, you know, and yes, my name went around the streets.
Well, yeah.
But, and at the same time, I could rap my ass off. Because I was rapping about the stuff I was doing.
But did you feel like you had to do the stuff so that you could rap? Do you think that went hand in hand? Like, if you didn't do those things, you wouldn't be able to rap. Not that you wouldn't be able, like, ability, but, like, you wouldn't have anything to talk about, right? Like, you can't write a rap about, like, I went to school all day today and I got my learn on, hey, right? Like, that would not have sold, right? So you need to live this life to rap about it, like, subconsciously. Do you think that maybe that was a thought?
When I first started rapping, I tried not to rap about fighting and stuff like that so much. I tried to rap about, like, more so how great of a rapper I am.
I bet you that was awesome.
I mean,
16 or so, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I would lay down, like, some bars that, like, the punchlines were good, the metaphors were good, but there was no substance in it. It's like, I'm not saying anything about how, except for how good I was the rap god.
Yeah, I was about to say, the rap god.
Yeah.
I'm the GOAT. Well, yeah. I'm the GOAT. And you're like, really, dude?
So, I end up going, okay,
toot.
I'm not putting enough of me in it.
Right.
I'm out here doing this shit for real. And I'm over here talking about all types of just, like, I'm using big words, and I'm pulling a Wu-Tang.
Well, I mean, those are your influences, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I need to channel my inner Nas.
Be a little more authentic and more, who am I?
You know, and I mean, I've always been good with words. I was published for poetry at a young age and everything.
Toot. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just giving you my background.
Toot. Go ahead.
Damn right I'm gonna toot my own horn.
I'm
fucking awesome.
I'm glad you got that joke. Toot. Continue.
Yeah. Bring the train on. It's fucking rolling, baby.
See, when I start talking about my life, you're like, yeah, anyways. We don't hear about your poverty, your real poorness. We don't want to talk about that shit. I'm going to talk about me. Toot. Go ahead, Toot.
I think you're funny.
We're going to change your name. This is no longer King Tetris show. This is a Toot show.
King Toot, whatever the fuck. I'm still a king, motherfucker.
Go ahead, Toot along.
Well, you asked me a question, so I'm giving you the honest answer.
It's a long-winded one, I can tell you that.
Everything I say is long-winded.
For real. This must be why you want to do a podcast.
Yeah, because I'm going to need hours to talk.
Fuck. Let's go.
Anyways, So yeah, I mean, part of me did feel like yes, I had to live it, but I was already living it.
But you didn't have to.
But I pushed it. I pushed it. I kept pushing it because, in myself, I don't know if it was the right music or not.
Well, I mean,
to be honest, I don't know if it was. I think I was
simmer on that.
I was drawn to that.
Come back to us in the listening tour.
I was just drawn to that type of like even the music I listened to before I was big into rap music. I was listening to heavy metal as well. Like everything I listened to was very hard and like pound your face and shit.
Well, yeah, and I know why, because, I took that one psychology class. So instead of being a philosophy show, like Stefan, we can be a psychology show, because I can fix you quick, sir. I'm the fixer.
So why am I attracted to... Because I'm still attracted to angry music.
Okay, why were you angry? At 10.
No, I didn't say...
No.
Let's break this down.
But that's why. No, that's the question that answers why would you be attracted to that music? Why were you angry? Why were you attracted to angry things? Why am I attracted to like 50s like doo-wop and happy things?
I don't fucking know.
Because I like happy stuff. I like happy colors. I like happy things. I had a pretty sad
life. So I like
life.
angry things.
I like happy things. Because I don't like to think about the things that sucked. You would rather like address with aggression the things that make you angry.
Or me now?
No, I'm saying that then, right? Like you were a person that took things very, very probably seriously. Like you were affected emotionally by the things going around you deeply, right? Especially as the baby, right? I'm not calling you a baby. I'm just saying.
I remember hiding in the corner crying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it affected you differently. Okay, most youngest children in those situations, they're much more emotional and different things.
But...
So anyways, so listen, just hear me out. So, you being a much more emotionally raw person, you feel angry. But when you're a kid, you can't express that. So you're naturally going to be drawn to things that are angry, right? Like angry music, whether it's gritty New York hip hop or, Megadeth and Metallica back in the day, kind of, because you feel those things. So the music is like, hey, that's how I feel. It matches how I feel, right? Sure. So you automatically were attracted to things that was like, this matches up with my internal feel, right? Now, that's kind of the beauty about music. Now, I know that I can't listen to Marilyn Manson and drive because I will get in an accident and I want to kill people. So I don't. I listen to Bob Marley when I used to go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning and have like class at college, because then I put me in a good mood to deal with these idiots because they were terrible. No, I didn't listen to that. I listened to happy things. Why? Because I need to put myself in a good mood to deal with stupidity. That's how I roll. I choose to do things the exact opposite of what you did. I like happy things. I like happy colors. I like happy music. I like pop. I like all of those things. My life is sad or was, aggressive enough. It didn't need to involve me too. I'm not getting sucked into that whirlwind of whatever was going on in my home life to wreck my day.
Yeah, but right? Okay. So, at the time though, like I would like suck it in.
Yeah.
And feel like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because music changes your moods, right? Like if you were to turn on the classical station and go, okay, what's this song telling me, right? Because you're just doing.
Well, if I heard other people's bad news, I'd just suck it in.
But that's what I'm saying, because it affects you. You're an emotionally raw person, right? And that's okay. Like, doesn't mean like you're weak or something like that.
No, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Well, yeah, you do. You're gonna tell people what you think. You're gonna tell them
I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not a bad thing, But when you listen to music that feeds that, right? Like, how do you feel when you listen to, like, if you really let yourself go and, like, the kids are listening to whatever pop, happy...
Well, nowadays, I start being silly and dance around.
Right, because it makes you feel happy, right? It makes you feel happy and silly because you think the music is happy and silly. Music affects you as a person. Music has always been a part of the human experience. It just depends on how you use it. It's almost like a tool, right? So, like I said, I'm going to listen to Bob Marley in the morning and Three Little Birds, and it makes me happy. I listen to the story of the song, it makes me feel good. So when I walk into class and I'm dealing with a bunch of high schoolers that I don't know how they graduated because they obviously can't read at 8 o'clock English, you know what? I just kind of feel bad for them, and I do my thing and I leave, right? And it doesn't bother me. Other people's issues don't bother me. Where you took a different route, music affects you differently, or you or gravitate toward music differently than I do. I'm gonna go for what's opposite of how I feel. If I'm feeling sad, there's a rare moment where I want to listen to sad music and sit in my pity puddle, and then I'm like, all right, let's turn this off. I want to hear, like, Fight for Your Right to Party, and let's get this going. I'm done, and I'm moving on. And I don't want to hear that sad song anymore. I don't want to be sad, so I'm not listening to sad stuff.
That's not me. When
no,
I'm angry, I want
it's
to hear
a short-lived moment of, like, I'm not a big person of, like, breakup songs, right?
Oh, well, no, I'm not that type of person.
I mean, but I'm a girl, so, I mean, I figured that would be relatable. A lot of chicks were like,
Actually, I've never really had breakups.
They want to, right? But you know what I'm saying, where you want to listen to this stuff, and it's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't. I want to listen to fun things that make me think of happy things, and so...
No, I'm a person that tries to listen to music that reflects my mood.
Rather than the opposite, I use music to change my mood, right? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, sometimes I do that, but...
Well, it's beneficial, right?
Not on the most part. But, okay...
So that's what I'm saying. You had a kind of a rough childhood.
Tangent.
Like you were saying, like in a different aspect, you had a rough childhood, so you're going to feel angry. Like, I don't have any control as this little person.
Well, I wasn't thinking that, but...
But your subconscious is. It's always about control. All human beings are about control and dominance or submission. All of human and animal instinct, the base, the lizard part of your brain, right, is all about dominance or submission. And the fact that you can't even have a voice in your house, whether you have lots of money or no money at all, it doesn't matter. You don't have any control whatsoever. And once you realize that, even subconsciously, it starts to affect a person, right? They're going to start, teenagers, they start acting out, they start getting more independent, they're going to do different things, right? That's just the way it is. And it really doesn't have anything to do with where you're from, what your house is. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the perception of dominance or submission. And at a certain point, everyone goes, well, I don't want to be submissive anymore. I don't want to just do what my parents say or what the teachers say or whatever. You're going to do other things. And like I said, I'm really good in psychology, but that would be my thought, was that you didn't have control. You can't control whether or not your brothers beat you up. You're not going to be as strong as them because they're older than you. Parents fight. I'm hungry. This sucks. Whatever. You don't have control over those things. So you're going to go towards things that are angry, that are, because you're frustrated, you're going to go to things that people are speaking about being frustrated too. Even if you don't know their exact life experience, you understand that emotion. You see what I'm saying? So you gravitated towards people who were speaking from their frustrations, from their struggle. It doesn't have to be the same, but the emotion is relatable, right?
Well, speaking of that, okay, I know we went way off topic, but I feel that it's worth bringing up. So I listen to a little bit of talk radio. I listen to different things. I think it was Elliot in the Morning.
No.
Not that I'm trying to plug that fat fuck.
But all in his hockey.
Yeah.
God.
But
he's the worst.
I came across and they were talking about music one day. And I'm just as shocked as he is that there's certain people out there that don't feel music. Like, literally don't feel music. Supposedly.
Is there something wrong with their brain?
And
well, is that's it like, what he was trying to figure out. Is it like a mental disorder?
That's what he was trying to figure out. Because he was like, I don't believe it. Like, apparently, because he made a comment, he's like, you might not like the music. So you're like, oh, I don't like it. So I don't want to listen to it. He's like, but that's still a feeling. He's like, there's supposedly people that nothing neurological
goes on. That's wild.
When
even
music
plants feel music.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
trees,
And
everything around
is
us
this
moves
possible? Is this possible?
in a rhythm and a heartbeat.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know if I buy that.
Right. I don't know. I've never seen I did a project once on plants for a science fair. And I had 3 plants. So you have a control that's just water and sunlight. I had another plant that was like rock and roll and rap or whatever it was, just hard, raw. And then I had another one that listened to classical, right? You know, same side of the house, so getting the same light, same water every day, same, right? My control plant grew okay. My rock, rap, violent kind of plant was sickly and curvy. It grew weird, right? It was just a sad little thing. I don't even know how to describe that. And then my classical plant, which kind of more richer tones, it does play sad and happy, fast-paced, slow-paced, right? Similar to all the other musics. Classical has it all. But whatever it was, that plant grew so big and so beautiful. We had that plant for like years. That plant survived.
Well,
the other 2 died, and that one
with babies.
Right, and I understand that, but that's why I'm like, that's wild. If there's people that there's something missing because everything
They're retarded.
Right, everything reacts.
They don't exist.
It makes you feel. I mean, that's why they use.
Maybe they're clones.
Well, I told the kids, like, put the TV on mute if it's coming to a scary part. You will no longer feel scared. They use the music. They slowly, it's real soft in the background, and then the drum beat kind of gets harder to freak you out. When really the person on the screen is just walking down a hallway, right? You know there's probably a bad guy waiting to jump out. You might still be like, you know, that breath in, but you're not going to be like screaming, freaked out because it's on mute. It's the music making you feel that way. It is not the actor. It is not the actor. Just like I said, you could listen to a whole song on the classical station, like whatever it is in your neighborhood, and you can feel what's going on. You can create a whole story in your head just from the music. Like, oh, this sounds kind of upbeat. Maybe like 2 lovers. Oh, it kind of got sad. Maybe they're separating. And you can just go through a whole make-believe, nonsensical story because the music is telling you a story. And, that's wild if there's people who can't, one, do that or don't feel it. Because that's what music is. I mean, it's there to kind of, it makes you feel a certain way, a certain tempo that jives with you. Now, the different genres, right? Like you were saying, like, oh, I don't like country music, at least, or I don't like hip hop, or I don't like rock, whatever, right? Like that's a particular style of music, but you like music, right?
Yeah, but it's still a neurological.
Like, yeah, I don't dig that style. Neurological reaction of I don't like this.
You would
style.
have that like, oh no, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's probably like there's a twangy guitar in country music that I don't dig. Or there's a bass kind of line that strikes a certain pitch in your ear in hip hop that I don't care for hip hop.
Music moves you, period. Whether it's in a good way or a bad way. Like, if I hear some music I like, I'm moving. If I hear some music I don't like, I'm moving to turn it off. You know, like opera. It's the one music. There's not one song that I could go, it's okay. Like, fuck opera. Fuck it.
It's just not for you?
It's not for me. I can't stand opera. Like, I typically say, oh, I can't stand country. But no, there's a couple of country songs that I get down on. You know, where it's like, it's not that bad. It's okay. Opera, no, fuck it. But all that's going to do is induce me to turn the channel.
You know what's funny? I don't feel like that about opera because it reminds me of classical. Right, and I don't know what they're saying because it's usually in Italian or something, so I can just make up my own story, right? I get it. It's funny enough, it's gospel. It's like not bluegrass, but like gospel. And that I know probably sounds really weird, but I hate gospel music. Now I like the Christian rock station. Like we can sing about some Jesus, and I will get down with you, and some bluegrass, and you got you've got some kind of more Motown, back in the day kind of songs that are a little bit more religious and stuff like that. Totally dig it. But gospel, like you think of we're gonna sing in the church choir, hymnals of just straight on Catholic churchy kind of you remember Sister Act before she showed up. No, whatever it is, I'm this is not reaching the Lord. It's not working. You guys stink. This is bad. It's just awful. The organ, it's something about the organ. It must be the pitch of the organ that I'm just turn it off. It just drives me bananas. Absolutely crazy. I can't stand it.
Okay, we went way off topic.
Well, I thought we changed topics.
Did we change topics?
I thought we did. I thought we talked about it. We brought it back around 3 times back to Wu-Tang, because then I asked a
I
totally
was just
separate
talking
question.
about Wu-Tang, but the death of hip-hop.
Right, and so I asked you a totally
general.
separate question. Was well, let's change it up a little bit. Let's talk about Eminem, and then we went forward. So then I got to ask, what has happened to rock and roll? I find myself listening to oldies more and more.
Is there even any new bands?
They're all crybaby. Look, I get the breakup rock song. A lot of rock songs are love songs, and that's fine.
Okay,
but it has turned into a bunch of crybaby nonsense that I'm where's the story? Where's the Run for the Hills? Where's the creeping death? Where is the something? And it's all either super political. We had that discussion about the white flag warriors, and you're dude, boo, I don't care. Come on, move me. I think that's the issue. Move me. Make me want to get up. Make me want to do something.
Well, you're not liberal anymore, so they can't move you.
Oh, it does.
You were a Rise Against fan. At one point.
And they were always political in that way. And I understand. And I can understand that side of things. I can understand anti-war. I get it. A lot of the 60s,
I do
70s.
not understand white flag warrior. I don't understand that.
But I'm just saying, a lot of the 60s, 70s bands that we like to listen to, that our parents listen to, were all anti-war, anti-Vietnam War for different reasons and whatever. And that's fine. I can understand.
Actually, I've been listening to a lot of Bad Company lately.
It's great. Bad Company's great. But
I just figured because that's my violent side coming out of me.
There's some good.
I'm a bad person.
It's not
Bad Company to the day I die.
Well, see, but I guess I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't feed that side.
That's the
right?
Renegade.
Maybe
of me.
Yeah, right. Another good song.
Another great song. I love
great
it.
Song.
Sticks.
So, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I like Fall Out Boy.
Some of their songs are political too, and
okay,
but
the
usually
few songs,
they're not
the
too
few
bad.
songs that
but they don't go too far. They don't seem to go. And I haven't sat down to listen to their whole CD and dug through all the
lyrics.
lyrics.
I almost bought one today because I was.
Was it the
through.
newer one? Because Brennan would have loved you for that.
No, because I didn't know it was far. I didn't understand any of the fucking songs. I was looking for one of the ones that I know. I know they have long ass names for everything.
Well, yeah, and then the lawyer got mad, so they just dropped all the vowels.
Yeah.
So there's no vowels in any of the titles. It's pretty funny. I was like, haha, that's funny. That's cute. But anyway, so it's I write sins, not tragedies.
Yeah, it wasn't. No, that was the other one.
Or whatever. Is that the other guys?
Yeah, it's Panic! Disco.
We're panicking.
But yeah, a lot
we're
of
freaking out at the party.
Yeah, but where's the Rage Against the Machine? Which was very political.
Very political. Very kind of liberal ideology.
But not totally.
Well, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
But they weren't open.
Here's the thing. This pulls back to that whole idea that I was actually talking to my friend about the other day that I don't understand. When we were younger and you had we're not gonna take it, and that was all against censorship, against the government getting involved. No, parents should dictate this. Screw Tipper Gore. Screw that. No, this is wrong, right? And you had the big hearings and stuff like that. And my posse, right? All that, right? No, I can say whatever I want. Piss off.
Yeah.
So you
don't
had
let your kid buy my fucking album.
Yeah.
Be a good parent.
Yeah, be a good parent, you shithead, right? And I got it, right? And at first, when you first think like, oh well, maybe no, because I can see where this goes. You open the door and then the flood comes, right? Give him an inch, take a mile, kind of a thing. And then since then, you've just seen it kind of just get more and more.
The liberals are now for more government.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, when we were kids, it was against the conservatives.
Are we talking about music or are we talking about politics?
It's one and the same. But it's like, it was always, you think like the punk rock and tattoos and piercings. It's like, fuck your conformity, fuck the government, fuck what you guys say that I have to be. I don't have to be anything. Like, what do you do? What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock, man. I want to rock. And now it's like, no, we want the government. You gotta love everyone for who they are, and no matter what, even if they like shit on your lawn, you gotta be a good neighbor. And you're
unless
like,
a Republican.
And you're like, no, fuck that. Don't shit on my lawn. I'm gonna fucking throw that shit in your face, man. No, you're violent and that's wrong. You're not accepting of them. And you're like, what is wrong with you people?
He just threw shit at me.
Yeah, he just shit on my lawn, And it's like, well, it's not your lawn because it should be everybody's lawn. Well, no. Your wife isn't everybody's wife. You'd be pissed off, right? No. This doesn't work. So anyways.
Well, for them cucks, it is.
But you get what I'm saying. Like,
you're getting me riled up now.
I know. But in the music realm, you see this shift because it's always been like that kind of liberal, you think of liberating. Anti-government. Fuck the government. Get out of my business. Get out of my shit. Who do you think you are telling me what to do? And now it's like, no, the government should tell you what to do about everything. We need the government to tell you what to do about all of it. And you're like, what
now they're just anti-Trump.
happened?
They're just anti-Trump.
No, but it doesn't matter because Obama had horrible ideas. He had horrible ideas and ran on, I want less government, like it should be for the working guy, and then did nothing but induce more government or just not stop it when he had the chance. And everybody's like, oh no, he's fine. Oh no, this is good. It's great. It's good for you. No, it's not fucking good for anybody. And how could you go from fuck the government and this is shit to, oh, because that guy said it, now it's fine? That's crazy. That's crazy. And music has done the same thing. It used to be push back against the government. You remember Eminem had the big song. Speaking of Eminem, right? And he's just like, it's like March on Washington. Let's,
we don't want to talk, just walk around.
And tiptoe, talk about it. Yeah. And then now it's just like, don't fly, love everybody.
Bad Religion was real big on political.
What happened, man? It's like punk rock died.
Music, and I'm anti-establishment.
Yeah, but it's like all the anti-establishment people are now like, well, because one guy said it, it's fine, and now the other guy's saying something else, that's not okay. It's like, I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. A lot of people like to confuse that. Like, oh, well, it's like, no, dude, look at what people are actually offering you when they go, I'm trying to purchase you. I'm trying to buy your vote. This is what I'm going to give you. And it's like, I don't want you to give me a fucking thing. I want the government to be so small and to run so well that I don't have to give a shit. That's what I want. That's the way it's supposed to be. And it's like, we've lost that concept. And then you listen to music
now. We've lost
now.
Everything. Do you know now that our cable provider can give out all our information?
Yeah, I do.
Not just Google and places like that.
Yeah,
that give out to ads and stuff.
Well, like your ISP address that you get from Comcast.
Our cable provider now, which means that we have no security.
Correct.
I don't think, and everybody missed that. And unfortunately, I don't have the show up and running like the way I would like to. Because I would have been all over that. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, I was just reading about that today.
APB, like, seriously, everybody get out there. Like, no, this is no joke. Like, do not let this happen.
Wait. What happened?
Do not let your cable provider be able to give this out.
Well, I know they were just having a discussion. Trump's undoing some net neutrality, something that Obama did. I don't know. I don't know which side of that is which. I don't know.
No.
Gets a little convoluted. I don't know. I'm not going to say just because Trump's undoing something that it's a good thing. I'm not sure.
I do not want my
don't
cable
know.
provider giving out my information.
You could just not have cable. That would save us a lot of money. Then I could donate to all the other people.
Then again, I didn't really want to buy a smart TV for all this, but I did. So, if you're looking at me, CIA, piss off.
We're going to hump later right in front of the monitor.
Are we?
Eventually, I'm sure it's going to happen.
All right. We could sell that too, you know. Anyways, us
two old fat people. Is there
we're gonna have to edit this out.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Is that like a fetish?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know there's like a big girl's fetish, but it's like two. Usually, it's not. I can't imagine it's like a fat guy and a fat chick.
I think
Usually
it's
it's
just like
just
to
a
see
fat
people
chick.
fucking.
You think?
Yeah. Well, okay, we get off topic here.
All right. Anyways, so what I was talking about was music. So the left always held music and art, right? Because that's the creative side of your brain, right? You got the logical, analytical, boring side, and then you've got the creative side of your brain, like left and right, correct? Right. So you've always had the other that's going to push boundaries with music, with art,
If
with
I can interrupt,
design.
now you got me wondering if you want to be a porn star. Like,
I totally don't.
okay.
I don't. But thanks for the offer. I
Okay.
appreciate that you think I'm adorable, but I do not want to be a porn star.
Okay.
I don't even want to be on your camera once you get it up and running.
Okay. Good.
Great. So anyways, that's always been like a left thing, is all of those abilities, right? They're flighty, they're full of like fantastical ideas.
I didn't want you to be, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that was okay, right? Like, they're the dreamers. They dream the big things, and the Republican kind of right-sided is like that overbearing parent who, like, is just going to write the check to try to make you happy, right? Like, I always felt like that was the balance in the world, right? Well, so now that you've got the dreamers without a plan people ran the government for the last couple years, now they're like, what, you're cutting me off from the ATM machine? Gosh, Dad, like, oh my gosh, I can't go to the mall with Becky. And it's like, no, dude, seriously, you're killing all of us, right? It's like taking heroin away from the heroin addict. Like, nah, motherfucker, this shit is bad for you. No more. No more. You get no mas. And they're like, but why? I don't understand. They're all like freaking out. And so you've got all these musicians that are singing about it, and they're freaking out, and their music is shit, and they're making no sense.
Yeah,
and
fuck Green Day.
And they're arguing about stupid shit. And
No
you're like,
Trump, no racist. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.